Chai Ling bade farewell to Su Xing as she stepped onto a star-fragrant chariot and flew towards Great Circle Castle. At this moment, the little whirlwind sat quietly inside the cart, a purple kitten currently sound asleep in her bosom. Gazing at this thing that could only be called the noble star little whirlwind star beast, the corner of Chai Ling's lips curled with a hard-to-conceal smile. The queen gracefully stroked it. Her gaze gradually lost its focus, and she turned her head. Recalling this trip to Evil Smiting Hall, it was extremely thrilling yet not fantastic. Not only did she become a complete star general, she witnessed the top-notch martial general brave star Guan Sheng and the harm star Wusong star duel. The sparks that saber and sword stirred still up to this moment made Chai Ling's blood boil. That was a star duel. The final karma of the Star Maiden. Although Chai Ling was placed outside of the star duels, regardless of how it was put, in the end, she had the status of a star general. In her veins flowed still the desire to scale Maiden Mountain, to see with her own eyes the place that gave birth to them. The star duels, huh? Perhaps this palace should participate as well, Chai Ling muttered. The riches and honor Persia in her bosom seemingly sensed its mistress' adventurous and uncontrollable intentions. It opened its two eyes, letting out a meow of agreement. Chai Ling seemingly smiled, tenderly petting it. Xinger, it seems you also feel we should have some conduct, the purple kitten mewed and purred. Su Xing, actually, that is not bad. Chai Ling gazed outside the cart, the winds and clouds rushing by, multicolored light nascent. The star-fragrant chariot very quickly returned to the Great Circle Castle. Jinji and Yuya pulled open the curtains, supporting Chai Ling's dignified bearing as she left the chariot. Congratulations milady on obtaining your star beast. The maids of the Great Circle Castle deferentially made their greetings, naturally blending together. Chai Ling faintly nodded, directly entering the castle interior. Passing through the dazzling white jade corridors, Chai Ling entered a palace hall. Opening the gates, the books became a terrible mess. It seemed she would have to call someone to tidy up again. Kong Ho, have you died yet? Come take a look at my Xinger. Chai Ling charmingly sat on a colored glass chair. Jinji and Yuya again gave Chai Ling a cup of tea. The sea of books flipped open, and a carefree woman seemingly having just woken up stretched. Her firm and plump twin peaks made Chai Ling unable to help but raise her eyebrows. Truly, your luck is pretty good. Chai Ling, you unexpectedly came back alive. Kong Ho closed one eye, as if she was feigning sleep. Seeing the purple kitten on the table, her eyes glowed, the three-eyed wealth-inviting beast, it is honestly an adorable star beast. This palace's luck is indeed pretty good. The tea moistened her throat, and Chai Ling even smiled. Oh. Has that man made a move against you? Kong Ho sat on another chair, very curious. Elder sister Kong Ho will not ever expect the things that happened during this palace's trip to Evil Smiting Hall. The haughty queen faced the woman in front of her, showing a rarely seen humble expression. Kong Ho put her legs up, grabbed the teapot, and drank from the tea spout. Her expression of black radiance glancing at Chai Ling, as if saying, all ears. Su Xing did not make a move against this palace, but this palace and Wu Xiao have encountered Guan Sheng, Chai Ling recounted, not leaving a single detail, even including Wu Xiao addressing Su Xing as Lord Husband, even the matter of the pair's mental link producing the Heaven-Earth Dark Yellow skill, do not laugh laying drunk on battlefield. An exclamation of surprise. Kong Ho completely forgot to drink her tea, water flowing out the corner of her mouth, nearly choking her. No way. Something this brilliant? Just who is that Su Xing? Your servant is somewhat curious. Kong Ho's eyes lit up. Could it be Wu Xiao truly did not sign a contract? Chai Ling elegantly nodded. Kong Ho clicked her tongue. She did not dare believe. Wu Xiao apparently is unable to break free of the previous Wu Song's fetters. Elder sister Kong Ho, you must have your thoughts. Chai Ling asked. Or should it be said that Wu Xiao's considerations are correct, that signing a contract disgraces the Harm Star's military glory? Correct, fuck that. Military glory is false fame. That my heart is free is the truth. Truly, she is too stubborn to unexpectedly have this sort of thinking. Kong Ho yawned, her expression considerably bored. To find a man to her liking is something that is considerably more difficult than the star duels. Kong Ho's tone was somewhat isolated and lonely. Chai Ling was pensive. The noble star did not participate in 8 generations of star duels, and one among them actually nearly signed a contract. What a pity! In these 9th generation star duels, Chai Ling, you have already accomplished the dream of those predecessors and became a complete star general. Ha, ha, do you have a man that you fancy? Kong Ho chuckled. And how could this palace ever fancy those vulgar characters? Chai Ling snorted disdainfully. The Su Xing you spoke of, anyway your servant looks, he is not an ordinary character. Kong Ho laughed aloud. In this evil smiting hall, he unexpectedly thought of protecting another star master. This is actually strange, he seems to also be capable of signing unlimited contracts. As your servant sees it, Chai Ling, you ought to obediently enter his harem, he already has Lin Chong, Wu Song. Chai Ling, you would not disgrace the name of Little Whirlwind. Chai Ling's brows rose. To say she was not moved was to be lying to herself. Su Xing's current star generals were a sight never seen in 1,000 years. This generation's star duels basically was in his bag. Chai Ling wholeheartedly wished to scale Maiden Mountain, and signing a contract with Su Xing was simply perfect, let alone that man was actually to her liking, but the sole reason that dispelled this thinking was the unhappiness in her heart. She could not say why. In a word, she felt that if she signed a contract with Su Xing for this reason, she generally could not lift her head to face Su Xing's 7 other beauties. There was no face. She, Chai Ling, anyway it was said, was a queen. How could she lower her own status in front of the sisters? This palace cannot see through that man, this palace had best avoid it. Do not talk about him for now. Chao Gai has descended, bestowed a calamity, and this palace shall see how he goes through it. Chai Ling slightly smiled. Kong Ho threw her head back to drink the tea, the corner of her lips smiling at the hidden meaning of Chai Ling's words. The great Liang dynasty had a vassal state known as the Cold Tang. 2. At a border of Cold Tang was a yellow gate mountain, and below the mountain was a city known as Ecliptic City. 3. Although Ecliptic City was located at the farthest periphery and very isolated, it nevertheless was exceptionally prosperous compared to Cold Tang Kingdom's capital, Yong'an. The roads within the city crisscrossed, the shops stood in great numbers, and the merchants and customers dealt back and forth endlessly. The majority among them were adorned in the attire of monks. Ecliptic City and the far west Buddha Kingdom were separated by about 500 li. It was located at the Pure Land World and the Azure Dragon Territories border. The far west Buddha Kingdom's cultivation and Buddhist magics ran counter to the Azure Dragon Territories' mainstream, star magic. The two were considered separate schools, and Ecliptic City just happened to rely on its natural geographic environment to become the hub of the two places. Not only could dermas be heard in the city, the sounds of star magic could also be heard, which was a major characteristic. On this day, a chariot of rolling flame flew to the airspace above Ecliptic City. Inside the chariot was a man and 3 women. The man was immaculately dressed, a person of talent, and the 3 women at his side were even more eye-catching. One wore a white palace dress over her whole body, untainted by even a speck of dust, cool and elegant. One wore a skin-tight silk brocade, her figure wonderful without equal, her pupils chillier than ice, emitting a vigorous heroic spirit. The other woman was dressed in a dull blue one-piece shirt and short skirt. Her slender jade thighs and impressive figure fully displayed her beauty. Looks like this city is actually very big. The man furrowed his brow, looking down from the sky. He could not see the ends of Ecliptic City, and the palace halls and pavilions inside the city were innumerable. The Buddhist treasure halls and star cultivator palaces blended, somewhat curiously. Chai Ling said Jiang Jing seems to be currently living in huge volume pavilion. 5. She should be easy to find. The girl in the one-piece swept her gaze. On her shoulder lay a snow-white fox. N. Wifey Seo, what's the matter? The man nodded. Noticing the cool and elegant woman was preoccupied, he asked. Nothing at all. Wu Seo calmly answered. No need to say it. The man and 3 women were Su Xing, Lin Yingmei, Wu Xinjie and Wu Seo. After learning from the information Chai Ling gave them, Su Xing and the group rushed over without stopping. Fortunately, the place Jiang Jing lived at was near the Buddha kingdom's border, which would not make Su Xing waste time. It was just that he did not expect Ecliptic City to be abnormally huge. He never thought the divine mathematician Jiang Jing would live in this place. Do you want to use wind from empty cave to scout for information? Wu Xinjie cocked her head. We'd better not do it like this. Su Xing shook his head. For a city so large, even if they used wind from empty cave, it would be of no use. Then your servant shall go ask around. Lin Yingmei. It's enough to leave this to me. Su Xing smiled, preparing to first have the fire beacon chariot loop around the city. Not only did Ecliptic City have many powerful star cultivators, it had even more senior Buddhist monks that he could not be careless around. Steering the fire beacon chariot to fly, he caught sight of several magnificent palace halls. Suddenly at this moment, from one of Ecliptic City's glorious palaces came several streaks of escape light that flew towards them. A moment later, they stopped in front of Su Xing. What appeared were 3 men and a woman. All of them wore brown gowns, and upon the gowns were pinned several stars. They wore brown caps and glowed with yellow light. The 3 men and woman were at first shocked to see that Su Xing's cultivation was galaxy middle stage, and they were not too careless. However, when they saw Lin Yingmei and the other girls, they immediately showed startled expressions. The highest cultivation out of the 4 of them was a gentle and refined male cultivator reaching galaxy late stage, who stepped forward and cupped his fist, respectfully saying, Your servant is Wei Guang, 6, of the Ecliptic Palace. This must be the first time Fellows has come to Ecliptic City. Ecliptic Palace. Su Xing glanced at Wu Xinjie. Using the city as its name, this Ecliptic Palace seemed to have some influence. Wu Xinjie surreptitiously nodded. Clearly, she did not know this. The Azure Dragon territory's sects were uncountable, and the Knowledge Star could not possibly grasp them all, let alone that Cold Tang Kingdom was but a vassal of Liangshan continent. Compared to the Great Liang dynasty, it was not worth a mention. These small sects that were far removed from the Great Liang naturally were not too clear. Your servant is Yun Yuzi, and these are your servants' wives. Indeed, this is the first time we have come to your esteemed city. Does the Ecliptic Palace have business with me? Su Xing opened his mouth and asked. It is nothing big at all, but we hope it is possible for Fellow to drop the artifact and slowly tour Ecliptic City. N. If Fellow enters, you will be in Ecliptic Palace. If Fellow wishes to pay our sect a visit, please inform us and enter from the front gate. Wei Guang smiled. Obviously, they were the same cultivation, even in his own domain. His attitude actually was exceptionally respectful, making the others who followed him resentful. Do not blame us for not warning you. This is the Ecliptic Palace's territory. Insignificant people must not approach with riding swords, otherwise the Ecliptic Palace shall treat that as an enemy in wait. The female cultivator said icily. Any way it was put, there was no need to be so modest to this frivolous man that barged into the Ecliptic Palace's domain. This simply was losing face. The female cultivator still wanted to say something, but suddenly a bone-chilling coldness pervaded her limbs, and her whole body was unable to budge. The female cultivator's face greatly changed. A pair of cold eyes immediately made her keep silent out of fear. Under those eyes, she seemingly became a sheep awaiting slaughter, her previous domineering manner instantly vanished. The Ecliptic Palace's other cultivators immediately were stunned. Each and every one of the Ecliptic Palace's cultivators kept quiet out of fear. Wei Guang watched that swift and severe intimidation, the cool and elegant Wu Xiao, with his heart in dread. We had no intention to offend you, and we ask that you understand. Su Xing smiled, breaking off this practically frozen to suffocating atmosphere. Only then did those cultivators feel the pressure alleviate. Wei Guang forced a smile. Su Xing glanced at that majestic ecliptic palace. One of the sky-piercing pagodas was particularly attention-worthy. Su Xing did not think too much, directing the fire beacon chariot to then leave the ecliptic palace's forbidden area. After they left, the female cultivator angrily said, "They truly do not place us ecliptic palace in their eyes. They dare make a show of force before the Imperial Empress. We must report this to the Imperial Empress, make those people know who is stronger." "You are making trouble," Wei Guang scolded. The female cultivator was stunned, stammering, "Senior brother, did junior sister say something wrong?" The other senior and junior brothers inwardly shook their heads. "Are you still unable to discern it?" Wei Guang's voice sunk. "Discern what?" The female cultivator was at a loss. "Those women at the male cultivator's side, one of them is a star general." The female cultivator was shocked. "Star general? It cannot be, that man had a beauty in each arm, how can a star general fancy such a frivolous man?" "Senior brother, are you mistaken?" The female cultivator was stunned. It was for this reason that no matter how she saw Su Xing, she felt this man was the scourge of women, a public enemy. "How can I be mistaken about that imposing air?" "Then is that not even better? A star general has run up to our ecliptic palace to die, a perfect opportunity for junior brother Huang Yan. The Imperial Empress will reward us." The female cultivator smiled. Ecliptic Palace's junior brother Huang Yan was also a star master and was the direct disciple of the Ecliptic Palace's Imperial Empress. Now that someone was sent to their door during the star duels, that sort of opportunity naturally could not be let go. Wei Guang did not reply. His brows twisted very deeply. His heart had always felt somewhat uneasy. That man's star general was somewhat complex. Just her air of intimidation alone could push down his galaxy late-stage cultivation. Wei Guang truly was unwilling to make a move against them. However, for a star master to appear before the Ecliptic Palace was not something he could possibly pretend to not see. "I will go report to Imperial Empress, and we will follow Imperial Empress decision. You are to not make any moves." They nodded. Who were they kidding? Against a star master with a cultivation that reached galaxy middle stage, even if they were given absolute guts they would not dare make a move. "Should we monitor him?" the female cultivator said. "No need, so as to avoid alerting them. So long as we assign someone to carefully monitor enter and exit patterns inside the city, that is enough." Wei Guang ordered. "As you bid." This ecliptic palace honestly thinks itself the great Liang dynasty. Su Xing and the rest walked on the limestone street, the half-Buddhist, half-Taoist atmosphere particularly lively. A feast for the eyes, the Shi Yuan with a tickled mind emerged from the star nest, still brooding over what happened earlier. The thief star was still angry about the ecliptic palace's arrogance. The best thief under heaven had plans to rob that ecliptic palace clean as punishment. "Don't mind small things like this," Su Xing carefreely said. Since the ecliptic palace was someone else's territory, a strong dragon naturally would find hard to avoid arrogance. However, those ecliptic palace cultivators were somewhat of pushovers. In the end, they were defeated under Wu Xiao's chilly expression. There was no need to act, so he was friendly. Using palace to name the sect, this ecliptic palace is somewhat interesting, Wu Xinjie muttered. The Azure Dragon territory had 1 path, 2 halls, 3 palaces, 4 sword sets. Ever since the Alliance of 10 conference, the Azure Dragon territory's sects had an invisible rule. Any sect when choosing a name would meticulously use path, hall, palace, sword sect. Old schools need not be mentioned, but new schools would invisibly comply because that 1 path, 2 halls was the Azure Dragon territory's proof of strength. After a skirmish with the Alliance of 10 conference, those with the qualifications did not need to change their names. The Azure Dragon territory would tacitly agree to address them as that. This ecliptic palace showing off like this actually made Wu Xinjie feel very curious. Has your servant brought trouble to hubby? Wu Xiao wrinkled her brow. Xiao is oversensitive. Wu Xinjie smiled. Elder sister Xiao, why did you call Su Xing hubby? Is there some meaning? And Su Xing calls Wu Xiao wifey, it's a bit unfair. Shi Yuan pouted. Hearing Shi Yuan's words, Wu Xiao's face was slightly red. She turned away her gaze, not speaking. Our Yuaner is jealous. Wu Xinjie covered her mouth. Su Xing perspired, changing the topic, it's better to first go find Jiang Shui. The Feast of All Souls is already beginning. Mentioning the meditative mind lotus seed, all of the girls knew the severity of the situation. Shi Yuan put away her thoughts. Chai Ling said that Jiang Shui opened a Four Seas guest house, too, in Ecliptic City. Asking around, they did not expect this tavern to seemingly have a name despite being small in Ecliptic City. Great shopkeeper Hi, 3, why have you come out to buy soy sauce yourself? Not going to call your assistant? TSK. The Four Seas guest house currently has pretty good business, why are you so reluctant to call for a servant girl? Just as Su Xing was searching, he abruptly heard a voice come from a soy sauce shop across the street. Hearing the Four Seas guest house's name, Su Xing and the group looked at each other, then looked over. There was a beautifully dressed man full of sharp and unkind words. The one he called Great Shopkeeper Hai was a more than 30-year-old man, slovenly in appearance with beard and stubble, a gentle appearance wearing very normal clothing. So it's shopkeeper you, ha, ha. Nice to see you, nice to see you. The man smiled. Humph, poor people are poor people. Even if you give poor people a gold ingot that fell from the sky, they would only hide it out of fear of others finding out. The paunchy shopkeeper you sneered. The underlings beside him laughed in agreement. His counterpart did not mind him, foolishly smiling. Shopkeeper you was displeased. Flinging his sleeve, he entered his store. The shopkeeper of the Four Seas guest house lifted a bottle of soy sauce and left. Shi Hai. Chai Ling seemed to have said he is the divine mathematician's contractor. Lin Yingmei wrinkled her brow. The strange thing was that this star master named Shi Hai seemed rather too weak. Unexpectedly, he was Stardust level cultivation. Shall we greet him? Yuaner, you, Su Xing whispered orders into Shi Yuan's ear. Fellow, you dropped your purse. Su Xing grabbed the purse that Shi Yuan picked up, shouting aloud. Shi Hai turned his head. When he saw the purse, then looked to his waist, he immediately walked over. Your servant is truly careless. Truly, many thanks, brother. However, calling your servant fellow is somewhat odd. I don't cultivate. You do not cultivate? These words made Su Xing and the group startled. I'm just a commoner, how can I have the chance to cultivate? Shi Hai laughed. What was the meaning of this? Su Xing felt it was odd that this star master was somewhat strange, however, the other party's honesty made Su Xing feel he was worth fostering a connection. Steadying his mind, I just heard what that shopkeeper you said. You opened the Four Seas guest house. My wives and I just so happen to be going to Four Seas guest house to search for a friend. Can we travel together? Of course there's no problem. Shi Hai could not help showing a shocked expression when he saw Su Xing's beautiful wives. His gaze actually did not have bad intentions like other men. Pausing for a bit longer, he seemed to be looking at a very important character. I wonder what sort of person that shopkeeper you was just now. The man is somewhat of a bully. Oh, we're of the same profession. I got used to it long ago. Shi Hai said. Su Xing nodded. Walking along a street, while Su Xing chatted with Shi Hai on one hand, on the other he first surreptitiously understood information on the divine mathematician. However, he did not know whether this middle-aged man was too shrewd or if he was too thoughtless. If there was a question, he needed to answer, but this exchange was perfect. A while later, a tavern appeared before them. The four characters, Foresee's guest house, on the board had a gentleness that did not lose strength, modest yet straight to the heart. Its appearance as a tavern was decorated very simply but very appealing. The arrangement of the tables inside the main room was neat and tidy, brightly lit, with many customers. The restaurant of the three-floor tavern was seated full. The waiters serving food entered and exited one after another, singing folk tunes, reading books, very lively. "Your business is so great," Su Xing exclaimed. "All of it is Shueishue's labors." These four characters Foresee's guest house were written by Shueishue. "How is it? Pretty good, right?" Ji Hai pointed to the board with a face full of pride. "Skillful and great characters. The writing appears to clearly understand this mortal life." Su Xing praised. "I wonder where your friend is?" Ji Hai asked. "Shall I help ask for you?" Just as Su Xing was about to reply, suddenly, they heard a gentle, bird-like graceful voice. "Uncle Hai, 5, why did you go buy soy sauce yourself? This sort of matter ought to be left to shop assistant to do." A pretty girl leisurely walked over. The girl was beautiful. Her thin and long hair cascaded over her shoulders, and she wore a gorgeous dress. Her head was bound with a dull red cover. She showed a sort of approachable manner. Ji Hai showed a gentle smile. "I was idle anyways. I do not need to trouble you over something as small as this. The tavern's business is already tiring enough for you. Are these guests staying or?" The girl looked at Su Xing and showed a tender smile. When she saw Wu Xingjie and the other girls, her smile froze. "Shueishue, let me help introduce you. This is Su Xing. I wasn't careful and dropped my purse. Many thanks to him for picking it up for me. I am truly useless, dropping my purse just buying soy sauce." Ji Hai blamed himself. Su Xing, the originator of this evil plan, perspired. "These are his wives." Shueishue blinked, her expression somewhat shocked. "Right. Brother Su Xing, didn't say you were looking for a friend? I wonder where your friend is. Did they leave a message?" Ji Hai asked. "Ah, no need." Su Xing glanced at Shueishue, smiling as he replied. Shueishue's gaze was somewhat confused. This Foresee's guest house was actually introduced by little sister Ling. As expected, its business is not bad. Wu Xingjie thoughtfully concentrated on their counterpart. The brooding Shueishue seemed to loose a sigh of relief, extending her previous smile. "Since this is so, Shueishue shall take you to look at rooms in the Foresee's guest house." "Many thanks. Uncle Hai, the tavern will be left to you first," Shueishue said. "I don't understand how to operate a tavern. Do you want me to take Brother Su Xing?" "No need." Shueishue shook her head. Ji Hai did not say anything. Shueishue took Su Xing straight to a room on the 3rd floor. "This room is this tavern's largest. Please take a look." Pushing the door and entering. The room was decorated classically, spacious and well lit. "Not bad, this room, then." Su Xing nodded. "Do you not wish to look further?" Shueishue said as she entered the room, closing the door. The atmosphere immediately changed. "Are you truly sent by elder sister Chai Ling?" Shueishue's tone was nervous. "We are not under her orders. We only wanted to come here to find someone to calculate the future." Wu Xingjie gently answered. "Calculate the future? Are you truly the divine mathematician?" Wu Xiao furrowed her brow, speaking. She was somewhat skeptical a star general would go open some tavern. "I am meet star divine mathematician Jiang Jing." The girl was somewhat restless, true name Jiang Divine mathematician Jiang Shuai being so careful made Wu Xinjie and the other sisters feel somewhat apologetic. Relax, elder sister Shuai. Su Xing won't hurt you. Sure, Yuan patted her chest in guarantee. Jiang Shuai looked at Su Xing like a little white rabbit that had encountered a big bad wolf. She could not be blamed for believing as much. The current Su Xing was escorted by beauties. Any way he was looked at, he did not seem to be a good person, let alone that in Jiang Shuai's mind was the deep-rooted seed of star masters and star duels. Even if Su Xing truly wanted to kill her, Jiang Shuai would not have any sort of complaint. Little sister, be at ease. We can guarantee him. If not, great noblewoman Chai would not have pointed us here. Little sister, could it be you feel Chai Ling would entrap you? Wu Xinjie comforted her. Jiang Shuai grunted. Elder sister Chai Ling was kind to Shuai. What do you want Shuai to do? Wu Xinjie and Su Xing looked at each other, and then they explained the matter of the meditative mind lotus seed. The important thing was to make the divine mathematician help make a calculation. Among the 108 sisters, the divine mathematician's fortune-telling could be said to be somewhat defiant of the natural order. As the proverb says, the mysteries of heaven must not be revealed, but the divine mathematician Jiang Jing could reveal it. Although sometimes it was not necessarily accurate, the divine mathematician had always been very useful in the star duels. Do you want a divine calculation? Jiang Shuai's thin eyebrows slightly knit together. We wonder whether or not you could do so. Wu Xinjie's heart was full of expectation. Since it was elder sister Chai Ling who introduced you, this is no problem, but the divine calculation requires favorable conditions. Many elements need time to prepare. Will that delay you? Jiang Shuai apologetically said. They already somewhat understood before coming here. Su Xing did not have objections. The quicker, the better. If we are late Buddha Kingdom's Feast of All Souls, we will not be able to catch up. Wu Xinjie said. Within 3 days, will that do? Jiang Shuai carefully asked. Good. Your servant shall go with you to help prepare. Lin Yingmei voluntarily said. Jian Shuai could not discern Lin Yingmei's precise details, but she knew that Lin Yingmei was a powerful elder sister, so she did not object. Following after Jiang Shuai's departure, light rays glowed, and figures appeared. Gong Sun Huang, Yan Yizhen, Tang Lianxin and Ensuan had long already been impatient to leave the star nest. Regardless of how it was put, although they followed along with Su Xing's senses, they generally felt something was lacking. Elder sister Jiang Jing is so refined and elegant. To open a tavern here and to find a star master is also odd. There isn't the slightest bit of star duel. Sure, Yuan could not understand. Suan actually can understand very well. The Ensuan who had to leave her health cottage deeply held the same feeling. If an earthly star of spirit energy or a martial general were no special existences, the majority participating in the star duel certainly would not necessarily appear very significant. In the star duel phases, the greater part was continuing in their own ways. Running a business was fine, wandering also fine. In short, until the 4th phase ended, they would maintain the attitude of their familiar livelihoods. If it was not for meeting Su Xing, Ensuan probably would be the same as Jiang Jing, acting as a shopkeeper to quietly pass the star duels by. But what made the efficacious star very confused was why Jiang Jing would sign a contract. After all, if spirit energy star generals like them did not find a star master that was capable of contracting 2 star maidens, those that signed a contract in the star duels could only alter the lives of their contractors and nothing more. Something like involving an outsider was not something Jiang Shuai could do, in any case. Xinjie heard Chai Ling say there was a reason. Wu Xinjie surmised. Let's take advantage of these 3 days' time. Let's not stop first for now. Su Xing spoke. Right now, the mission he bore was very serious. He was simply racing against time. Ever since that time where Wu Xinjie lost her virginity, Su Xing's star energy had reached the bottleneck of galaxy late stage. These days, he spent every single moment cultivating, and he had reached the critical juncture of breakthrough. Reaching galaxy late stage perhaps could be useful to the meditative mind lotus seed. Everyone would arrange the upcoming time on their own. The mission's most important counted on Tang Lianxin. Due to when they faced Great Blade Guaning, Heaven Tearing was nearly destroyed by the 4-star destined weapon. It required him to rely on Tang Lianxin to refine it again. Su Xing could only nurture it inside his body, but by doing so, the time was too long. Besides, after coming to possession of the Great Sun Essence Flame Butterfly, Tang Lianxin's forging arts already reached into a perfect state. Restoring it again was twice the effect and half the effort compared to nurturing it. If they were to refine it again, they needed to find an abundance of spiritual energy, a place untouched and uninhabited. A tavern clearly would not work. Mount Yellowgate's spiritual energy counted as enough, and it was an exceptionally good location. For the sake of Tang Lianxin's safety, Yanizhan would act as her protector. With the yin-yang Pisces-equipped Yanizhan, she had a fighting chance against even a supervoid cultivator. You honor. Wu Xinjie secretly called for thief star Shi Yuan. Sister Xinjie, what's the matter? Shi Yuan asked. I am somewhat at unease about the Ecliptic Palace. Go check to see what sort of background this Ecliptic Palace has. Wu Xinjie said. No problem, this young lady was already impatient. Shi Yuan rubbed her palms together. Careful. This young lady is but the best thief under heaven and very professional. Shi Yuan chuckled. Glancing at the meditating Su Xing, her figure immediately slinks stealthily away. Wu Xinjie returned to Su Xing's side. Gong Sun Huang waved the Pine Brand ancient sword, setting up an astrological protection magic. Wu Xiao said, Knowledge Star, going on this trip to the Buddha Kingdom, are you certain you can bloom that meditative mind lotus seed? The Harm Star's words were not without worry. The meditative mind lotus seed was Buddhism's greatest secret treasure. Only those like the Zen master monks capable of seeing through the Buddhist path were capable of blossoming the meditative mind lotus flower. In the case that the lotus flower bloomed, Buddhist powers would practically reach a realm too high to reach. Wu Xiao honestly did not expect this sort of Buddhist path's supreme treasure unexpectedly would appear in the body of Su Xing, a layman who had never even touched Buddhism. She wondered whether or not that 1000 Buddha star Chao Gai's head was kicked by a donkey. She conferred a calamity to force him to do something, however, to truly bloom the meditative mind lotus seed, that actually was a very big harvest. Wu Xiao was somewhat unable to understand what Chao Gai was planning. There is no need to worry. Chao Gai's meditative mind lotus seed does not necessarily flourish with the comprehension of every sort of Buddhist path cultivator's traditional Zen teaching or Dharma. Sow the lotus seed, bloom to see Buddha. Xinjie surmises that it ought not be difficult to bloom. Wu Xinjie self-confidently answered. Hearing her words, only then did Wu Xiao slightly relax. That said, why does little sister Xiao address young lord as hubby? Wu Xinjie whispered, intentionally or otherwise. Wu Xiao avoided Wu Xinjie's line of sight somewhat without confidence. Wu Xinjie chuckled. Since you already address him as hubby, when will little sister be willing to sign a contract with young lord? Wu Xiao knew with a look at the Knowledge Star's grin that the Knowledge Star understood the meaning of hubby. With red clouds on the rise, Wu Xiao did not utter a word. Ying Mei is very expectant of fighting shoulder to shoulder with Xiao. Wu Xinjie continued. Xinjie, too. Your servant will ponder it herself. Your servant shall first go to see what Jiang Jing requires. Wu Xiao turned around, and the Harm Star's back dragged an irremovable preoccupation. Wu Xinjie slightly shook her head. What broken forbid dance, isn't it being freely intruded by this young lady? Shi Yuan stepped on that yellow line. This place just happened to be the Ecliptic Palace's restricted area. The imposing air of the palace hall 100 meters in front of her flourished. The pavilions, sculpted fences and reliefs all had a noble air. The ecliptic palaces outside had cultivators of high cultivation standing guard every 50 meters. Moving about were several people forming a cultivator patrol, their precautions considerably strict. Crashing her way to the imperial palace, the Shi Yuan, who had stepped into old tombs and past old ruins, was impressed. Shi Yuan used wind-chasing shadow hiding, and her figure became a lump of darkness. Those cultivators basically did not sense her. Even when Shi Yuan walked past right behind their backs, they only felt an odd breeze. Shi Yuan very quickly entered the inner portions and found the most eye-catching main hall. She easily broke into it, and the thief star used her excellent hiding arts to avoid the all-seeing guards. Smoke rose in spirals in the main hall, and the center had an idol, seemingly Buddhist, yet also appearing Taoist. Just as Shi Yuan prepared to find some things pertaining to the ecliptic palace in this place, she suddenly heard light footsteps. When the thief star looked, her figure flew behind the image in hiding. A man wearing a yellow long robe and draped in long hair entered. His face was ordinary, but his expression was very sharp. He stood in front of the icon, burning incense and bowing and praying 3 times. Imperial Empress. At this time, a man knelt outside the hall, respectfully burning incense yet nevertheless not daring to enter the hall. Shi Yuan recognized with a look that this was Wei Guang, who had stopped them not long ago. Imperial Empress, that man is the Ecliptic Palace's Imperial Empress? How's it a man? Shi Yuan thought in bewilderment. What is the matter? The Ecliptic Imperial Empress half knelt on the prayer mat, closing his eyes in meditation. Disciple has possibly encountered a star master just now, Wei Guang said. When Shi Yuan heard, she snorted. As expected, that man had come to report it. A star master. The Ecliptic Imperial Empress still kowtowed, his expression pious enough to earn others' respect. What sort of star general? Disciple does not know, but that star master is somewhat odd. Disciple cannot guess, but perhaps it is a formidable heavenly star marshal general, Wei Guang said, thus beginning to explain word by word the matter that transpired. The hall was silent. You have done well. That star general is not one you can face. The Ecliptic Imperial Empress' voice was neither sad nor joyous. Imperial Empress, what should we do now? Since it is a heavenly star marshal general, this empress shall go probe their limits. You are to not act without thinking for the time being. Before connecting heaven, too, this empress does not wish to attract other troubles. Disciple obeys your command. Withdraw now. Shi Yuan wrinkled her brow as she listened. Before connecting heaven. It seemed this ecliptic palace was apparently planning something. No wonder their security was so tight, but she did not know what this was. Seeing that this ecliptic imperial empress unexpectedly wanted to test them out, Shi Yuan's heart was annoyed. But seeing that the ecliptic imperial empress cultivation was out of the ordinary, Shi Yuan did not dare act blindly without thinking. While he kowtowed, Shi Yuan quietly walked out from her hiding place, making a nasty face at the ecliptic imperial empress. The ecliptic imperial empress was currently in reverent prayer. How could he have realized a girl would stand right in front of him? The thief star was not the best thief under heaven for nothing. Naturally standing right in front of him, she shot a glance at this strange, ecliptic full restrained great god. 3. She looked at the idol's forehead pearl and thought, this young lady is but the best thief under heaven, with lots of professional ethics. How could she leave empty-handed? As she thought this, Shi Yuan took out the jewel embedded in the statue's third eye, leaving without anyone realizing. Shi Yuan practically treated the ecliptic palace as her own backyard, leisurely wandering about with no one suspecting a thing. She investigated that connecting heaven plan, and Shi Yuan saw a constructed connecting heaven pagoda, however, she could not find any outlines. Losing interest, just as she was about to leave, she recalled something. This young lady said she would rob you all clean, and this young lady certainly is very much of professional ethics. Shi Yuan looked at several of the ecliptic palace's halls, and then walked towards a dark yellow pavilion. The dark yellow pavilion was the Ecliptic Palace's record storage place, with many cultivation methods stored inside. Su Xing would not necessarily look upon these cultivations methods right now, but understanding any bit more of the Ecliptic Palace was good. Shi Yuan was very blunt, putting as many as these cultivation methods as she liked into her sack. Just as the thief star was happy with her haul, she suddenly heard a loud laugh. "From where did you come, little thief, to unexpectedly dare steal from this empress? So audacious." Shi Yuan froze, turning her head around in astonishment. An alluring woman appeared in the doorway. She wore a low-cut one-piece dress, the long skirt woven with many ribbons twining her arms and legs. Her long hair flowed, her expression was sharp, and when she saw Shi Yuan, she was surprised. Then, her gaze turned cold. Shi Yuan did not expect someone would appear. She was just about to hide, but an ice-cold presence immediately locked onto her. This sort of familiar feeling made Shi Yuan inwardly realize things were far from good. "And who am I?" So it turned out to be a sister. No wonder Ilio felt somewhat strange. The woman smiled. Her empty hand emerged, and in it appeared a snowy silver spear. That spearhead was just like a sharp sword. A white python wound around it, exuding a freezing ice cold, with 3 glittering stars. This was bad. 3-star justified bloodshed white python spear. 2, Shi Yuan inwardly clicked her tongue. This elder sister was somewhat thorny. "Hey! Little sister was only strolling freely around. Don't be so stingy, elder sister." Shi Yuan smiled. Before she finished, that Ilio woman already flew towards her in attack. The justified bloodshed python spear danced, her spear technique like a viper's tongue. Shi Yuan did not dare be careless, her hoodwinking flying claws scratching by. "You really are little sister thief star." The flying claws and spears slammed head-on. The hoodwinking was only 2-star, and her opponent was of martial force. A powerful strength rolled over, shaking Shi Yuan back. Ilio's words came in midair, her slender figure already somersaulting in the air. Instantly, she was already above Shi Yuan's head, the justified bloodshed python spear waving to block Shi Yuan's escape route. The hoodwinking flying claws promptly went to dodge. But Ilio's attack methods were far from comparison to the thief star. Her snow-white right leg already swept out from her spinning figure, attacking Shi Yuan's cranium. Shi Yuan's left hand blocked, the flying claw stirring up sparks, the powerful force nearly shattered the bones in her arm. Shi Yuan inwardly grit her teeth. During the impact, Ilio's power was like an unending river, direct and full power. Her left leg stuck out from her body, continuing the attack. Again, it was repelled by the flying claws. "Has little sister thief star learned my power?" Ilio softly snorted, her laugh alluring. As if she could stop in midair, she already somersaulted again. She swung the spear, a viper's tongue flicking out. The spear tip directly bit at Shi Yuan's heart. Shi Yuan already used the greatest extent of her abilities to go dodge it. But this spear's speed was too quick. In the end, her arm still received a strike. An unbearable pain. A large hole had been pierced through her shoulder. Ilio's attack had not ended yet. As if in mockery, she retracted and stabbed, the spear moving back and forth, stabbing Shi Yuan to somewhat being unable to persist. Yellow rank technique, venomous viper's flicking tongue. 3. And after an agile spin, Ilio returned to where she was originally, her movements efficient. Touch and go, she did not give Shi Yuan the chance to use her flying claws. Shi Yuan held her shoulder, baring her teeth. "Has little sister signed a contract?" Ilio's brows rose as she asked. "Why would you come to the Ecliptic Palace?" "Shut up." Shi Yuan used wind-chasing shadow hiding. Her figure became a clump of dark shadow that dissipated. Even Ilio could not tell where she was, but the girl nevertheless disdainfully smiled. Setting the spear straight, she suddenly jumped backwards with full force. In midair, she already waved the spear continuously, the justified bloodshed white python's spear like a snake. Its pale white figure grazed across space, its sharp sword chi already shooting out of the spear. The mass of air brought with it a powerful wind pressure, instantly sealing the space in front of her. Shi Yuan did not expect such a sudden and concentrated long-range attack. The flying claw in her hand immediately shot out, carving an amazing arc as it attacked the wind ball. Without even needing a moment, Shi Yuan succeeded in dispersing the sword chi, and the wind pressure Ilio's attack brought had been totally ripped apart by the flying claws. But wind-chasing shadow hiding was also exposed. Ilio had long been waiting for this moment. In the blink of an eye, she flashed to Shi Yuan's vicinity, once again gracing her with the spear's presence. This spear's power was completely violent enough to make the dark yellow pavilion shudder. The immense power engulfed her whole body. Shi Yuan's body was pushed to flying from the earth by the force. This was different from Ilio's previous attack. This clearly was a strike the girl premeditated. The justified bloodshed white python's attack power was unprecedented in strength, just like it had become an enormous python that bit onto Shi Yuan. The figure in front of her swayed. Ilio already seized this opportunity to swiftly approach. In terms of speed, the martial force star General Ilio still did not yet necessarily compare to thief star Shi Yuan. Shi Yuan grunted, continuously slinking stealthily. She disappeared under the spear. Futile. Ilio laughed. The justified blood white python spear wildly danced, and countless white pythons flew out. There was a groan. Shi Yuan had been forced out again. Just like a viper that had seized its prey, Ilio's figure moved, instantly vanishing. The Shi Yuan that had been forced out stared helplessly as Ilio's spear continuously stabbed through her heart. Truly, each strike was fatal. This elder sister honestly was ruthless. Just at this time, a scene beyond expectation occurred. The Shi Yuan that was sent flying slowed and stopped in midair, spun around, and unexpectedly counterattacked with an incomparable agility like a dead leaf's, changing instantly from being forced to voluntary. Even Ilio did not anticipate this sort of scene that went completely against physics. Her nimble and quick body techniques made Ilio's heart awed. But it still was not enough. Ilio's spear swept. After all, she was a spiritual energy-type star general. The thief star confronting her was not Ilio's opponent in any case. The spear passed like thunder and moved like wind this time. An air-shattering sound rang. Just as she was about to pierce through Shi Yuan, at this time, Ilio actually saw that the thief star that should have been dejected, even despairing, wore a sort of triumphant, crafty smile. What was going on? A banner appeared in her hand. Shi Yuan shook the banner. With a sudden voila, it shuddered. An array appeared under their feet, immediately trapping Ilio's attack. Before Ilio could even react, she suddenly discovered that at some unknown time, 5 ugly, malevolent, and strange monsters had appeared in the 5 corners of the dark yellow pavilion. 5 poisons array. Even a thief can design a trap. Shi Yuan giggled. The banners swayed. Peepa Queen Scorpion, Thousand Corpse Queen Spider, Poison Toad, Bloody Centipede, and Poison Vipers, these were the 5 great poison animals Su Xing had captured when he originally broke through 5 Poisons Mountain. Afterwards, Su Xing gave them to Shi Yuan to refine the 5 Poisons banner into a self-protection move. Shi Yuan's MO attack mechanism records had long already been researched to near completion. There was no difference between these 5 poisons puppets she manufactured and the real thing. The sole difference was that this was an array Shi Yuan refined. With this sort of terrifying 5 poisons manufactured array, even a star general would have to be slightly cautious. Ilio's face changed. Just as she wanted to run, a net suddenly plunged down. This net was known as the 1,000 layers 10,000 bindings net. After Su Xing killed Pan Si'er, he obtained it, passed it through Tang Lianxin's excellent refinement methods, and now it belonged to Shi Yuan to use. This net was paired with the array, immediately trapping Ilio. Nets like this 1,000 layers 10,000 bindings net were ordinary. Ilyo's 3-star justified bloodshed white python spear was sufficient to break it, but it would not give her the chance. She had been trapped by the net. Under Shi Yuan's command, the 5 poisons array activated. The Pipa Queen Scorpion, 1,000 Corpse Queen Spider, and the other poisonous creatures spouted out the poisons they excelled in. These potent toxins were paired with the 5 poisons banner, blending together. Omnipresently covering Ilyo, the girl did everything she could to go block it. The justified bloodshed white python spear also set about its task without dishonor. But Shi Yuan leisurely shook the banner. The 5 poisons puppet's spitting was more powerful each time, combining with the extreme poison and immediately covering Ilyo. The Ilyo that did not see Shi Yuan despair contrarily was unresigned and despairing herself. Impossible, when did you set down this 5 poisons array? Ilyo did not dare believe it. If Shi Yuan deployed it, she could sense it and definitely would not fall into it. The 5 poisons puppets appeared formidable, and to break them, that was not within her ability. Shi Yuan giggled. A black shadow jumped out of her arm. That was a gentle black rabbit, cutely winking its eye just like her master. 5, 3 burrows crafty rabbit. Ilyo was stunned. Immediately she understood how Shi Yuan set down the trap. She used the 3 burrows crafty rabbit to place the 5 poisons array, and for the sake of avoiding detection, Shi Yuan played the role of decoy to attract Ilyo's line of sight. With the 3 burrows crafty rabbit's stealth that did not lose to the thief stars, to secretly set down the array honestly was within her grasp. The 5 poisons storm dispersed, and Ilyo was then at her last gasp. Elder sister absolutely will not forgive you next time. Ilyo's whole body emitted a malevolent black chi. The justified bloodshed white python spear was pitch black, an extreme scene. She gnashed her teeth. The next time elder sister encounters little sister, honestly be nervous. Little sister is sincere. Shi Yuan giggled, the hoodwinking flying claws appeared, and then they sent Ilyo back to her star nest. The Shi Yuan who achieved victory in her first battle against a star general breathed a sigh of relief. Gazing at the already plundered clean dark yellow pavilion, Shi Yuan giggled. The best thief under heaven is certainly of professional ethic. This young lady said she'd rob you clean, and she did. Before she created an even bigger disturbance, the thief star kissed the 3 burrows crafty rabbit, immediately slinking out the ecliptic palace. She had just taken a step when she heard an angry shout come from behind her. A powerful intimidating aura rolled over, and the entire ecliptic city seemingly shook. A thief has infiltrated the ecliptic palace, seal off the palace. A voice thunderously said. Shi Yuan stuck out her tongue. It seemed she had been discovered. Her hand played with that jewel from the idol. The thief star then indifferently left easily amidst the confusion of the ecliptic palace. Imperial Empress, what has happened? An ecliptic palace elder and protector hastily arrived at the hall. The ecliptic palace Imperial Empress expression was extremely unsightly. This is bad, the dark yellow pavilion has been plundered. All of the scriptures and cultivation methods have been stolen. A disciple came to report. Everyone's expression also then turned unsightly. Immediately investigate thoroughly, who dared to break into the ecliptic palace. The ecliptic palace Imperial Empress knuckles were clenched white. No need to investigate, they cannot be captured. A voice suddenly said. Everyone turned their gazes. The one who spoke was a thin, yellow youth, his expression somewhat ashen. Yenner, 6, what do you know? The ecliptic palace Imperial Empress lowered his voice, regardless who it is, this empress will make him pay a disastrous price. Father, I fear it is thief star flea on a drum Shi Qian. Huang Yan replied with difficulty. What? Everyone was shaken, not daring to believe it. How would it be the thief star? Why would she be here? Is this true? The ecliptic palace Imperial Empress also showed astonishment. Ilyo discovered the thief star in the dark yellow pavilion as she was robbing it. Has she captured her? All of the ecliptic cultivators showed expectation. Yenner's expression was very pained. Elio returned to the star nest. They did not miss here, did they? Little sister Yuan, why are you injured? And Suan looked at the bloody hole on Shi Yuan. She hastily used healing magic. It's just a cut, Sister Suan. Shi Yuan was not in the least concerned. Don't do something that will make Big Brother worried. And Suan scolded in a quiet voice. It's a big harvest. Yuan, what happened? Wu Xinjie walked into the room. The bloodstains on Shi Yuan's body made the knowledge star somewhat shocked. This young lady encountered latent star white flower serpent Yang Chun. Shi Yuan stuck out her chest very proudly. Latent star white flower serpent. Why would little sister face her? And Suan asked as she treated the injuries. Shi Yuan recounted everything she saw and heard at the ecliptic palace. When she spoke about the star duel between the thief star and the latent star, she made the two elder sisters feel startled. Latent star white flower serpent Yang Chun was a martial general any way it was put. They did not expect that Shi Yuan surprisingly could defeat her. Nicely done, however, Yuan, you also are too fond of causing trouble. Wu Xinjie helplessly smiled. Under Suan's life-returning magic hands, Shi Yuan's wounds very quickly disappeared. That elder sister Ilio is too dumb, unexpectedly not being with her star master. However, the ecliptic palace has a star master. Shi Yuan flipped her hand, and the table was crammed full of countless collections of books. These texts mostly were a few generational sect cultivation methods, introductions, historical material, and the like. The cultivation methods inside appeared to be average, and Wu Xinjie herself would not fancy them. The ecliptic palace seems to be planning some connecting heaven. There was also a connecting heaven pagoda inside. Shi Yuan said. Connecting heaven? Wu Xinjie wrinkled her brow. Hearing this name, it did not seem good at all. However, concerning his connecting heaven, fighting heaven, hiding heaven, heaven won't fall down anyways. The always easy-mannered Shi Yuan did not care about such a small sect's plans, but she was somewhat unhappy the ecliptic palace locked onto Su Xing. For the time being, do not act so rashly. Yuan, do not go to the ecliptic palace anymore. If it was because of us, we would be very sorry to implicate little sister Shui Shui. Wu Xinjie said. Counter soldiers with arms, water with a levy. Since they already knew the ecliptic palace's general strength, with the latent star white flower serpent star general even being defeated by Shi Yuan, with the meditative mind lotus seed now at hand, Wu Xinjie did not wish to give rise to more side issues. Of course, if the ecliptic palace were to follow the path to their own doom, the knowledge star would not be polite with them. First, inform of this matter to Ingmei and Sio. Make them worry a bit. Wu Xinjie muttered. All right. Ecliptic Palace Main Hall. The Ecliptic Palace's 20 protectors and each of the gate masters already were assembled inside the main hall. The Ecliptic Imperial Empress' face was ashen as he gazed upon the divine idol. The forehead of the ecliptic full-restrained great god's idol was missing an eye, and its mighty expression was suddenly greatly diminished. Damn it! The Ecliptic Imperial Empress coldly grunted. Imperial Empress, that thief star simply is too arrogant. Truly unforgivable. A protector sternly said. But the thief star appears and disappears as she pleases. We have no way to take her. Back to the topic at hand, why would the thief star flee on a drum appear at the Ecliptic Palace? Being targeted by the thief star certainly is somewhat not too encouraging. Everyone discussed spiritedly, their words astonished and infuriated at the thief star. Although the thief star was ranked towards the end, no cultivator would dare be arrogant before those robbing arts that were absolute under the heavens, particularly after having passed through the third phase. After obtaining her star beast, she was even more not something the ordinary star cultivator could face. Let alone that the thief star was excellent at hiding, if she wanted to hide, until the beginning of the very last phase, no one in the world could find her. Imperial Empress, maybe that man sent the Star General otherwise, this is too coincidental. Wei Guang hesitated. However, if this was true, then this was somewhat of a disaster. 2 Star Generals was not something they could face. Imperial Empress, we already have information he lives at the Four Seas Guest House. Shall we? The Four Seas Guest House. Is he staying there? The ecliptic Imperial Empress hesitated for a moment. In the end, he set his resolution, do not speak any more of this. These are your orders. The ecliptic palace is to immediately make all disciples rigorously stand guard. No one is to raise this matter any further. This empress does not want any unnecessary surprises to appear. As you bid. By the time of the ecliptic day, too, they will inevitably pay the price. The ecliptic Imperial Empress said grimly. Evil Smiting Hall, at some deeply cold black pond. The deep pool had a divine horse. That horse was black as darkness all over, its 4 hooves snowy. This was the famous, snow-treading ebony piebald, 3, of the Star Maidens, but at this time, this snow-treading ebony piebald was downcast. It appeared to have been ravaged for a while, at its last gasp, having lost its brash aggression. 100 meters away, 2 figures crisscrossed, their weapons sparking. One hand held a smoking essence steel wolf fang club, and another set held a pair of clubs, unfolding an intense exchange. How can this snow-treading ebony piebald be something you can possess, little sister? The woman draped in an elegant palace dress clapped the 2 clubs together, slashing out a baleful air like a crescent moon. The air was ripped apart by an ear-piercing noise. She was the 4th Star Double Club's Huyen Zhua. A petite figure dropped. Dust flew, and the girl that appeared would make anyone's glasses fall. That was a cute little girl, about 8 or 9 years old in appearance. She had whitish-purple hair, with her bangs uneven. 2 locks hung past her slightly bulging chest. The little loli wore a simple white shirt and armor, making her fragile appearance seem courageous, especially when that girl clutched in one hand a seemingly hammer-like, seemingly club-like weapon. This weapon was gorgeous, like a mace in appearance yet more massive than an ordinary mace by several times, like an enormous cylinder. Its entire body was lined with scarlet gold teeth, and the whole thing was at least 100 kilograms in weight, which could make people leak cold sweat upon seeing it. This massive divine weapon perhaps could not be held up by an ordinary cultivator, but in the girl's hand, it was seemingly light as a feather as she deftly played with it in her hands. Disrespecting elder sister, you ought to be spanked. The little loli possessed a pair of wine-red bright eyes. Her 5 apertures were exquisite. Her lips slightly parted, somewhat not too happy at the prestige star addressing her like this. That snow-treading ebony piebald is but something elder sister, 5, discovered first. For you to unexpectedly want to snatch it, truly brazen. Then your servant thanks the so-called elder sister for her ferocity. Huyen Shuang's hand clutched her iron clubs, raising a balanced attack and defense stance. This great Liang 5 Tigers general nevertheless faced the little loli in front of her with a solemn expression. Completely not being deceived by that outer appearance. Little sister, watch this mace. The corner of the little loli's lips rose with a full smile. She launched an attack, yet that could only be described as fierce, carrying endless killing intent. Without saying anything, a wild slash and fierce stab attacked Huyen Shuang. Pure and tyrannical in power, no technique there to be said. Huyen Shuang's feet flew quickly and staggered. She wanted to evade the girl's violent attack, but Huyen Shuang still suffered through several cuts of killing intent in the face. The girl's attack honestly was ferocious to the extreme. This sort of full power, tyrannical martial art and Huyen Shuang's gentle as the wind club technique were completely different. Her body was scratched with several ghastly bloody cuts. Huyen Shuang slashed diagonally, changing to meticulous pinpoint stabs. Wind flower leaf fall, snow moon without scar, Huyen Shuang retreated, her solid club immediately turning soft. The prestige star shouted, 3-star destined weapon, wind and moon unmatched, raised high, then heavily sweeping down. Her clubs really were powerful as rain, falling from the sky. Her club shadows were like blades, one after another carving at Huyen Shuang. Already, she took the initiative to use her yellow rank technique. The double clubs danced together, completely two types of different attack styles that made anyone dazzled. The club's storm struck on the little girl's body. Flashing a disintegrating flower petal, the girl waved the gigantic mace, her delicate voice breaking out her throat. Look again. The sound of thunder rolled, and the cold pond shook. The little Loli's hands held the giant divine weapon. First, she retreated, and then she leapt astonishingly high, drawing a beautiful arc. The mace's sharp teeth made noise one after the other, oddly crying out like a wild beast grinding its teeth. The wind was crushed and then squeezed to pieces by the mace. Similarly, she had used a yellow rank technique. The double whips were shaken back. Huyen Shuang's expression was silent. Slightly withdrawing, the whips once again became hard clubs. Bang! An enormous noise. Huyen Shuang crossed her clubs, and that huge mace was directly stopped at the intersection. The power that came that instant nearly made the prestige star kneel. The ground she stood on could not support the ferocity of the little girl's weapon, and it cracked apart. Look once more. The little girl's hand rose, and the mace drew a circle before pressing down again. Huyen Shuang was a star General 5 tiger. How could she let this girl be unbridled? The prestige star lowered her body, mirages appearing, her body techniques suddenly close then suddenly far. In the blink of an eye, she was behind, the wind and moon unmatched pincer attacking from the left and right, like lightning and like a landslide. The clubs and protective armor let out a crisp ring. The pain of the strike made the girl knit her brows together. The other club then stabbed at the girl's neck. The little girl's reactions were extremely quick, deftly dodging past this attack. The mace heavy as Mount Tai was brandished again and again, each wave seemingly containing the power of 1,000 caddies, summoning a stifling tip. The game's time had already ended. The little girl's wine-red pupils were suffused with a colorful red. The mace smashed and smashed craters into the ground. Huyen Shuang also made an all-out effort. The momentum of the double clubs like layers of folded tidal waves, each layer surpassing the other. Under the pressure of that mace, double clubs even was calm. Mace and whip, whip and mace, they continuously and densely clashed and parted. The air was endlessly ripped apart, as if it had become a cleaning rag the two-star maidens trampled on. The surrounding environment had long been completely ravaged. Several hundred exchanges later and there was still no clear winner. Watch this dark technique. Huyen Shuang seized an opportunity. The two whips light as smoke oddly made the little Loli's mace pounce on nothing. Immediately afterwards, the whips had a spiritual power, and the cooling off murderous aura boiled over and tore apart the little Loli's defenses inch by inch. The little girl's reactions were extremely fierce. She blocked the first whip, and when Huyen Shuang's second whip came again, just as the little Loli was about to suffer this head-on, at this moment, a black light flashed. Huyen Shuang then retracted the club to go block. A black saber and black light flourished, its might endless. Huyen Shuang fully realized a powerful enemy was prying in. Not daring to stop, knowing that Xie Chang'an already lured the snow-treading ebony piebald away, Huyen Shuang did not wish to waste time. The long whips lifted a swift and severe storm. By the time the storm dispersed, the prestige star had disappeared without a trace. The little Loli wanted to give chase. It is better not chase her. Huyen Zhua has a star master. If little sister goes and chase, she may not necessarily take the advantage. There was a girl like a painting, delicately walking over. She was Qingxi. Who are you? The little Loli twitched her lips, fixing her gaze on the 7 astral treasures around Qingxi's body. Qingxi's hand flipped open the birth treasure outline, her face wearing a slight smile as she looked at the records upon it. The birth treasure outline, the little girl gazed at that birth treasure outline with a light in her eyes, watch this mace. The suffocating murderous aura the mace summoned pounced at Qingxi from above. Her satiny hair fluttered amidst the killing intent, her blue and white dress swaying. Qingxi's smile was gentle as a spring breeze. This made the little girl feel very confused. You are not a star master. Her killing intent curbed, and the little girl stopped mid-swing. She stared at Qingxi in surprise and uncertainty. Your servant is an assembly star cultivator. Qingxi smiled. Assembly star cultivator, the little lowly blinked. She snorted, just what are you thinking? Your servant is Qingxi, inviting little sister to an uprising, to ascend Maiden Mountain. Qingxi calmly indicated her purpose for coming. The little lowly laughed out loud. The massive mace stood on the ground with a bang, smashing a deep crater into the earth. A range of 100 meters rose with a tremor. Why would Mingyue, too, want to have an uprising with you? Wu Song can become the overlord, and how could Mingyue be inferior to her? The little lowly called herself Mingyue. She stuck out her tiny chest, fully self-confident. Only those working together for a common purpose can face Maiden Mountain. The point is something the previous Wu Song is the best proof of. Little lowly Mingyue scoffed, disdainfully saying, Mingyue hates flowery speech and extravagant embellishments the most. If you want to make me assemble stars with you, HM. Elder sister, do not hesitate to use whatever method you have, otherwise, watch this mace. Her last two words were like a ringing bell, a fiery qi rolling over. Mingyue did not waste time with words. Her two hands gripped the mace and rolled, 3, at Qingxi. The massive mace brought with a terrifying pressure completely incongruous with the little lowly. I can almost upgrade my destined star weapon to 4-star by myself. I do not need to cooperate with anyone else. The little lowly was awfully tsundere. Her attack was very tyrannical. The prostrate snake ruler of the dragon has 9 suns manifested layers of dragon shadows that wound around Qingxi's whole body. The huge mace pounded against it, immediately stirring up a heaven and earth-shaking jolt. To think of defeating me relying on astral treasures, I would not do that. Mingyue exerted strength. The mace released light, and the prostrate snake ruler's dragon shadow defense shattered like glass. Qingxi beckoned with a hand. There was a dragon cry, and the fully ringing Yazi saber shot into the sky. Little lowly Mingyue had long already prepared. She summoned the strength of her whole body, and the mace and Yazi saber slammed head-on. The astral treasure's power gave rise to an impact that directly separated the two. A chasm split apart the ground. It seems you can still use several astral treasures. Mingyue held victory in her hand. Although a purple star astral treasure was powerful, each use required enormous star energy support. Even if the elder sister in front of her had excellent star energy, she could not bear supporting it continuously, let alone that the dragon has 9 suns was an astral treasure of 7 stars together, meaning the cost was even more massive. Mingyue estimated that 10 bouts could get rid of most of the elder sister's fighting strength. Is elder sister not an assembly star? Why do I not see any others? Maybe it is because elder sister is honestly too useless. The air fiercely shook. The little lowly began to wildly rush, like a fierce beast steamrolling over. That truly makes me disappointed. If you die by my hand, I will feel a bit guilty. The mace's wing rumbled, a world-breaking noise. Qingxi saw Mingyue's fire chi sword, her heart understanding that she was not making any jokes. To have her join the uprising, there were only 2 possibilities, one was to defeat her, and the other still was to defeat her. Qingxi regretfully sighed. Even Li Longkue would be at a disadvantage against the fierce power of the lowly in front of her. Originally, Qingxi had thought things would be much simpler, but now things had turned out like this. The prostrate snake ruler protected her whole body as the Yazi saber slashed. Her divine intent controlling the 2 astral treasures was already becoming challenging. Mingyue noticed these astral treasures apparently were not as formidable as she imagined. It seemed that it had once sustained an unrecoverable injury and had yet to be restored. Watch this mace. Mingyue seized her chance and shouted. The mace flashed like a golden snake of lightning and cut apart the prostrate snake ruler, blocking the Yazi saber. Just at this moment, a golden light fell from the sky. Like a golden dragon descending into the world. With a boom, it shook Mingyue away. The little loli hung open her tiny mouth in shock. Qingzi, it appears you have encountered a naughty little sister. A voice came from the east. Mingyue turned her head, and a golden light twinkled. A seemingly dragon-like, horse-like holy beast treaded upon clouds. On the holy beast sat a woman, her whole body clad in majestic white armor, draped in a large red cloak. Seeing her, the little loli's unruly, explosive temperament immediately lost its edge. Star Unicorn Dragon Horse. 5. Shower, you finally captured this Star Unicorn Dragon Horse. Qingzi saw her appear, and her gaze had some unconcealable happiness. Shower chuckled. The Star Unicorn Dragon Horse's propitious clouds descended to the ground, and lotus flowers, golden light and auspicious vapors bubbled forth everywhere. Shower naturally will not forget Qingzi's assistance. Shower indifferent, he said. The Star Unicorn Dragon Horse was also called Golden Qilin, and although it was not a true holy beast, it nevertheless was a peak existence among the star beasts. Inside records of the past, this star beast list ranked it as second. 3-star wolf-toothed fire beacon mace. 6. This little sister is mighty. Shower gazed at Mingyue, amazed. The little loli changed to a prideful arrogance, biting her lip. Big sister, could it be you are uprising with her? Who knows? Shower smiled but did not answer. However, Shower actually owes Qingzi a favor this time and wants to help her. Qingzi's brows rose. How is it, little sister? Can you give big sister face? Shower asked. If you can't defeat even Shower, then little sister better join Qingzi's uprising, Mingyue very violently shouted. The wolf-toothed fire beacon mace rolled out a rushing thunder. Without saying a word, she advanced with full power. The little loli scared even the big sister in front of her. Her seemingly too weak to stand against the wind body burst forth with a frightening aggression. Shower does not want to take advantage of you. Shower smiled. She dismounted the Golden Qilin. Amidst Mingyue's baleful aura, she turned her head, saying to Qingzi calmly, the best way to confront a fiery-tempered little sister is to make her recognize reality. Shower leisurely moved. A golden polearm of light then appeared in her hand. Elder sister, watch this mace. The wolf-toothed fire beacon mace's jagged teeth released a glittering gold electricity. The arcs jumped between the teeth, practically hiding it from sight. Mingyue waved the mace, and all of the lightning was like a flood from an opened dam, surging down, more magnificent than an army of thousands as it rolled towards Shower. That instant, heaven and earth seemingly vanished. Dark rank technique. Surging thunder army breaking. 7. Ha, ha. Shower smiled. Both of her hands clutched her divine weapon, not daring to be careless. Her imposing aura then swelled. Little sister, good aggression. Shower praised, her figure suddenly moving. Instantly, she seemed to have become a sharp sword that slammed into the surging thunder army breaking. The golden light arrogantly tore apart the terrifying lightning inch by inch. Mingyue gasped. Shower's toothy smile appeared. The battle instantly ended. Truly unreconciled. The little loli stuck out her lip in pout. Although she previously fought the snow-kicking Ebony Piebald, then battled double clubs Huyanzhua, then exchanged several bouts with the astral treasure of Qingzi, she knew that her energy long had been less than it was, but to instantly lose still made Mingyue very annoyed. Qingzi, does this favor of evil smiting Hall count as Shower still owing you one? Shower asked Qingzi. Qingzi was silent. Your fortune truly is good. Shower covered her mouth. Shower wonders, Qingzi, what does the second favor require Shower to do? Qingzi wanted to say something. The words reached her lips, but she stopped. Since this is so, your servant wishes to go to the Pure Land Buddha Kingdom. Perhaps your servant actually requires relying on Shower's aid. The Buddha Kingdom Pure Land, the mundane world. Qingxi wishes to find her for the uprising. Shower showed an astonished expression. No problem. Shower just so happens to want to go on a trip to the Buddha Kingdom. That Feast of All Souls is already starting. Shower also wants to go listen to Buddhist dharmas. Shower nodded in agreement. Shower, you seem to have encountered many opportunities these past few years. Qingxi slightly smiled. Shower shrugged her shoulders, cheerfully affirming Qingxi's guess. Humph. The lowly being ignored reminded them of her existence out of displeasure. Little sister Mingyue, do you wish to sign a contract with your servant, to ascend Maiden Mountain? We ourselves will change the star duels. Qingxi extended her hand in invitation. I still have a person I like. Even as she said this, little lowly Mingyue still extended her hand, which was lightly clasped by Qingxi. Suddenly, a percolating freshness permeated her whole body, and a clear light gradually soared, enveloping them. A crimson star crest appeared on the little lowly's forehead, and then a graceful green star similarly twinkled immediately after. In the sky, a crimson star began to swell. Faintly shooting a glance at Qingxi, the one and only assembly star, Shower ruminated. Another crimson star. And Suan exclaimed. She gazed at the boundless sky. That crimson star was exceptionally red, like a burning flame. Wu Xiao lifted her head, gazed at that crimson star, and her brows slightly furrowed. For there to still be crimson stars at this time, unthinkable. The knowledge star said. Now, half of the third phase had already passed. According to past star duels, those that signed contracts should have already signed contracts. After all, the earlier a star master and star general signed a contract, the better. Now, signing a contract was unavoidably a bit too wasteful. Furthermore, looking at that exceptionally red crimson star, they only felt it was burning. The knowledge star only then noticed that the sky above had at the very least 7 of these abnormally red crimson star. Honestly, this was somewhat out of the ordinary. Xiao, what do you feel? Wu Xinjie asked. This kind of crimson star apparently is more formidable than an ordinary star master's. It appears there is also a powerful star master behind the scenes. Wu Xiao calmly said. Xinjie wonders what relationship they have with Maiden Mountain. Wu Xinjie muttered. The barrier of the room was removed at this moment, and the doors opened. A man wearing a tired expression walked out. Lin Yingmei was at his side, and on his shoulder sat the light as a cloud Gongsun Huang. Young lord, you came out so quickly. Wu Xinjie smiled and wrapped her arms around him. Su Xing chuckled, clenched his fist, and roused the galaxy star energy inside his body into flaring up, as if it had reached the galaxy late stage where the galaxy became a supercluster. How much time did I use? Su Xing asked. Big brother, only 2 days. And Suan replied. Nothing happened these past few days. Young lord, you have been worried for nothing. Wu Xinjie covered her smile. Wu Xiao said, your servant shall go call for Yan Yizhen and Tang Lianxin to return. Hubby, we had best find Jiang Shui to make the divine calculation as soon as possible. Go open the meditative mind lotus flower. I've made my wives worried. Su Xing nodded. Su Xing and the others descended the building and entered the courtyard. They saw that Jiang Shui was already standing in the middle of the array, the courtyard already set with a magic circle, a feeling of isolation from the world. Su Xing took note that Jiang Shui's contractor Uncle Hai was not at all present. We have troubled the lady. Su Xing earnestly thanked her. Jiang Shui somewhat apologetically glanced at Su Xing, shook her head, and softly replied, it does not matter, to be able to help the elder sisters, Shui herself is very happy. The divine mathematician could divine the heavenly mysteries, however, the fact was that this sort of heavenly mystery was itself a mystery within a mystery. At times, she could execute it defiantly of the natural order, and at others, she nevertheless failed utterly. Divine calculation could be said to be of dubious worth. To be able to use her powers under the most optimal conditions, as far as the meet star divine mathematician Jiang Jing was concerned, was something to be grateful for. Su Xing's face wore a thankful expression and nodded. Little sister Shui, is your star master not going to be present? Wu Xinjie asked. Uncle Shu has always been unaware of Shui's identity. Jiang Shui softly replied. Her words made everyone present stunned. Now that this was the third stage, there unexpectedly were still star masters that were unclear about their status. No wonder that Uncle Shu's cultivation was merely stardust. Perhaps their contract was somewhat of a coincidence. In the star duels, this sort of thing was not at all rare, and Wu Xinjie did not say anything more. Then Shui shall prognosticate a divine calculation for Big Brother. If that is not allowed, then please pardon Shui. Jiang Shui gazed at Su Xing. This is no problem. Although I don't believe in heavenly mysteries are occasionally helpful. Su Xing's voice was very relaxed. Jiang Shui stood in the center of the array. Those gorgeous clothes fluttered without wind, as if there was some sort of viscous feeling in the air. Time had stopped, and while Su Xing, Wu Xinjie, Lin Yingmei, Wu Xiao, and the rest stood around, completely on guard, Gong Sun Huang sat peacefully on Su Xing's shoulder. She stared, the star general number 1 in magic energy, full of curiosity towards divine mathematician Jiang Jing's divine calculation. Jiang Shui's shy expression was shed. Her face showed confidence and experience. The girl's white fingers moved, white light flashed, and a glorious white pearl abacus appeared out of thin air. That abacus glittered with every single color, circulated 2 stars, and was extremely beautiful. This was meet star divine mathematician Jiang Jing's destined star weapon, 5-element sentencing mental calculation. Jiang Shui's hands parted, and the abacus pearls immediately gave of light. Following their glow, it became a dazzling pinprick of white light. Jiang Shui's fingers seemed to fly, fluttering like a butterfly through a garden. The 5-element sentencing mental calculations pearls endlessly changed before them, leaping like fairies. Jiang Shui's pupils glowed with white light. Su Xing had a feeling of shock. The girl's gaze seemed to pierce through the obstructions of time and space. Within the motions of Jiang Shui's fingers, the pearl abacus began to work according to some kind of pattern, extremely like the mysteries of the universe. A moment later, the countless pearls embedded in the air began to transform into the shape of characters. Pluck out Bodhi to suppress Far West. A row of flowing characters manifested. Because they knew this was Jiang Jing's divine calculation of the heavenly mysteries, Su Xing and the others held their breath. Great Wisdom Lotus Platform calls for shacking. 2. The first row of characters was as opaque as ink, and the second row of characters appeared. Then, the third and fourth row of characters appeared before them in succession, split into 3 marks and 5 dragons. Release light, the mundane immeasurably comprehends the Buddha's mind. The white light dimmed, and the pearls flowing in the air dispersed, again falling into Jiang Shui's 5-element sentencing mental calculator. The girl's fingers ceased their movements, and everything fell back into a peaceful nothingness. Su Xing, Wu Xinjie and the other beauties looked at each other in dismay. Pluck out Bodhi to suppress Far West, Great Wisdom Lotus Platform calls for killing, 3 marks and 5 dragons. Release light, the mundane immeasurably comprehends Buddha's mind. 3. Putting together the 4 verses the divine calculation found, Su Xing slowly read them. This was somewhat of a headache, a state of complete opaqueness. What does this mean? Shi Yuan was baffled. Jiang Jing collapsed and panted. Even the divine mathematician herself did not know the meaning. Su Xing pondered for a long time, however, this verse honestly was too specious. It vaguely had a bit of an outline, but like Shi Yuan, his brain was complete paste. Everyone directed their gazes to knowledge star resourceful star Wuxinjie. Among them, the knowledge star excelled in undoing verses, mechanisms and the like. Thinking about it right now is useless. First, let us reach the Buddha kingdom. Wu Xinjie muttered. They could only do so. We shall go now. Young master's meditative mind lotus seed has had too much time pass. Lin Yingmei said. Not long after, Yan Yizhen and Tang Lianxin returned from outside the city. After summarizing the divine calculations mystery, they prepared to depart. Right, is little sister Shui not going to prepare to leave Ecliptic City? Wu Xinjie recalled something, thus asking Jiang Jing. This place has an ecliptic palace that is somewhat harboring evil intentions. Little sister Shui must think clearly about this. Thank you, elder sister, for your concern. Jiang Shui bashfully answered, Ecliptic City is situated between the Buddha Kingdom and the Azure Dragon territory. The other sects will not find this place, so long as Shui does not show her face. Besides, Uncle Hai's 4C's guest house is still here, so Shui does not wish to part. Hearing her say this, Wu Xinjie did not have anything else to say. She could see more clearly the problems of the divine mathematician's divine calculation of heavenly mysteries. After making some instructions, Su Xing and the others delayed no longer. They drove the fire beacon chariot into the sky and departed, their objective directly in the Buddha kingdom, the mundane Pure Land. Jiang Shui lifted her head to gaze at that last trace of them in the sky, an indescribable depth in her eyes. Shui, how is brother Su Xing? Uncle Hai held a bottle of wine as he walked in. Uncle Hai, he and his wives had something to do. Jiang Shui put away her concentrated thoughts, faintly smiling. Uncle Hai was somewhat regretful, that's so. Truly, what a pity. After brother Su Xing came to the guest house, I hadn't sought him out for some drinks. Originally, I had even thought to drink some wine with him. Jiang Shui's gaze twinkled, saying, Uncle Hai, he will still return. At that time, you can. The divine mathematician's tone was full of an unfathomable loneliness, but how could the Uncle Hai completely oblivious to the star duel's pouring wine have heard this? The 500 li of the far west was no more than a few hours. Going forward, they very quickly reached the Buddha kingdom's Pure Land. Su Xing originally thought that this Buddha kingdom probably would have been a cluster of monasteries and monks all over, rushing to light lamps all over, the sounds and smells of Buddhism everywhere, but when he caught sight of the Azure Dragon territory's most famed Buddha kingdom, things were far from being as simple as he thought. The earth below his feet was golden, as if it had been cast from gold. Countless golden lotuses were carved upon it, and each golden lotus was linked, forming a close and expansive avenue, leading directly to a faraway place. Outside the main path, were mountains of normal stone and mud. Even the flowers and forests were of the Buddha kingdom's most famous spinulose ferns and polo flowers. Delicate and pretty, the polo flowers bloomed, giving the Pure Land a fragrance. Among the Shala forests and polo flower were hidden many Buddhist monasteries and even more pagodas standing tall, as well as the sounds of running water, birds, and the occasionally strike of bells. Increasingly, it appeared quiet and secluded. Su Xing looked all around into the distance, unable to see the end of the Pure Land. The Buddha kingdom indeed had the Kasaya attire, many Zen dress-style monks, but what was the same as any other city in the Azure Dragon territory was that the majority of the residents were of similar dress, which was normal. However, for those residing in the Buddha kingdom, the majority of residents were Buddhists, with a Zen presence that distanced themselves from the worldly. Honestly, this was eye-opening. The moment Su Xing and the beauties landed, they thought they definitely would attract even greater attention. However, the Feast of All Souls was a very big thing even in the Buddha kingdom. Besides the millions in celebration within the Pure Land, star cultivators from the Azure Dragon territory and the Netherworld were also common. After all, the Feast of All Souls, Buddhist Sermon General Assembly, and eye-opening, all were very beneficial to cultivation and magic weapons. With this Buddha kingdom so big, How are we to bloom the meditative mind lotus flower now? Wu Xiao asked. The pilgrim was considered to have half of a Buddhist mind. Entering the Buddha kingdom, her murderous air greatly retracted. Let us first see what this place is. Wu Xinjie said. The Feast of All Souls at this time had already started several days ago. There was a sea of people on the streets, absolutely packed, the temple fairs considerably lively. With shooting flames and acrobats, Zen propagators, snake charmers and elephant dancers, naturally most lively Shi Yuan could not hold herself back as she chose every sort of Buddha kingdom head-dress from a vendor. Yuaner, seriously, still playing even at this time. Wu Xinjie was helpless. It's fine. Su Xing smiled. He did not mind, for when he saw Shi Yuan was happy, he also could not hold back being happy as well. How is Big Brother's meditative mind lotus seed? And Suan nervously asked. Su Xing sensed it. It originally was already very wilted, however, this Buddha kingdom indeed was somewhat spiritual. The withering seemed to have been stopped, and persisting for 10 more days was not a problem. But just how do we bloom this meditative mind lotus seed? Wu Xiao wrinkled her brow. We did not glean anything useful from the divine mathematician, and in the end we still are baffled. Not necessarily, Xiao is more worried than us. Wu Xinjie covered her smiled. Xinjie already has a countermeasure. Just as they were about to ask her, they suddenly heard a hubbub in the crowd. Immediately afterwards, they saw the crowd separate, leaving an open space. Su Xing's group curiously looked over, and they saw several monks grappling. These monks' attires were different. 3 wore golden kasaya embroidered with polo flowers, their appearances righteous, with shiny shaven heads, but they were glaring, and the ones being glared at were 2 monks. They wore ordinary Zen garments, however, embroidered on these garments nevertheless were the flying apsaras of completely naked heavenly goddesses. Compared to the monks dressed in polo flower embroideries, these 2 had a gloom in their eyes. What made Su Xing's heart give rise to a slight desire to kill was that these 2 monks held a youthful woman. That woman's face was sensual, completely out of it. She was slumped over one of the monks' shoulders, breathing heavily. Quickly release the lady benefactor. The golden-robed monks shouted. This lady benefactor hopes to share bliss with us in the dual happiness courtyard, to clearly comprehend the Chan mind. Could it be you Brahmins are vainly obstructing our compassionate Buddha? Their counterpart laughed. Where was the feeling of a Buddha's mercy? Lady benefactor, what do you say? Common woman hopes to go back with this senior monk. The woman's state of mind was unclear, replying in a daze. Nonsense, poor Taoist. 5. Plainly sees you harbor evil intentions for this lady benefactor. She is only like this because she has lost her senses. Using such means in broad daylight, you defile Buddha. On this day, poor Taoist will not sit and watch. The great Brahmin monks each were serious in expression, their hands clenched tightly, their veins bulging, their temples protruding, their eyes glowing like a Vajra's. Vajra Dharma characteristics. The 2 happiness together courtyard disciples' expressions slightly changed. The surrounding people saw they were about to fight, and thus immediately scattered. You still do not release lady benefactor. The Daffin temple was led by a tall monk, each word he spoke heavy as a mountain. Does your Daffin temple truly dare to violate Dharma? The 2 happiness together courtyard monks laughed. Hey! The tall monk furiously yelled, throwing a punch, and a golden light appeared on his fist. Their counterparts clearly somewhat were fearful. A slight craftiness flashed past their eyes, and suddenly, they placed the woman's body in front of them to act as a shield. The Daffin temple monk did not expect his opponents to be surprisingly so despicable, so firmly halted his boxing technique. Truly, you are courting death, ha, ha. When both of them saw, they immediately made a coordinated pincer attack from the left and right. Bang, bang. Several stones struck the joints of their bodies. Their arms hurt, releasing the muddled woman being used as a shield. Their attack was also stopped. The expressions of the two monks changed, and the tall monk seized this chance to bring that woman over. Which bastard without eyes unexpectedly dares to involve themselves with the affairs of Happiness Together Courtyard? The Happiness Together Courtyard monks were infuriated. At this time, the people on the streets parted. Only a few star cultivators were spectating, and among them, 1 man and 7 women were the most conspicuous. Using a woman as a shield, indeed you will incur the wrath of heaven. Su Xing sinisterly laughed. Galaxy late stage. The 2 monks saw Su Xing's cultivation, and their anger immediately settled. However, this place was the domain of Buddhism. Even if the great Liang dynasty's Emperor Liang were to come here, he would be wholeheartedly pious. Relying on this fact, one monk said, "What a cultivator ignorant of the immensity of heaven and earth, to unexpectedly dare meddle in Buddhism's affairs. For monks like you, your servant feels it is better for you to reincarnate a little earlier as plants." Su Xing said. His fingers flicked, shooting out 5 arcs of purple lightning. The Happiness Together Courtyard monks wove hand seals, taking out a Vajra Buddhist monk staff, sweeping it over. The purple lightning fought against the Vajra Buddhist monk staff. The monks' cultivations were galaxy middle stage, but the Buddhist magics and powers of Buddhist cultivation were always mysteries within mysteries. The Buddhist staff's magic energy was enough to shake the lightning. Just as that monk was prepared to swing the staff at Su Xing, at this time, he nevertheless abruptly stopped. The Happiness Together Courtyard monk's expression looked with uncertainty at Su Xing's beauties. He turned his head back towards the Dafen Temple monks and yelled, "Today, the Dafen Temple has hurt our Happiness Together Courtyard's face, hindering our temple's practice of Buddhism. Poor monk definitely will report this matter to honored sir and follow his decision." When he finished speaking, he glanced at Su Xing, and they immediately fled. Seeing them flee so nimbly away, Su Xing actually could not easily act. Originally, he had hoped these 2 monks would fight, so he could conveniently destroy them. To force themselves onto a woman in broad daylight like this, he honestly did not have any favorable feelings. The Buddha Kingdom citizens acted as if nothing happened. Once the matter was settled, they then continued to love doing what they should have been doing. On the contrary, many star cultivators threw expressions of great shock at Su Xing, this man from who knows where bringing this many gorgeous beauties and appearing at the Buddha Kingdom clearly was a provocation. Amitba, Sadhu, Sadhu. This benefactor possess a heart of great compassion and empathy, allow poor monk to praise. The Dafen Temple monks publicly cried. "Is she all right?" Su Xing asked. "Without inconvenience, without inconvenience. Only a minor bewitching spell." That tall monk smiled. He pointed at the woman's forehead, read an incantation with a Buddhist chanting, producing an air of solemnity. A moment later, the woman's hazy eyes gradually regained their luster. When the woman finally sobered, as expected, she could not remember what had happened before, but she had been sightseeing the temple fairs when she suddenly heard 2 monks come to her to pass a sermon. Slowly, she lost consciousness. The tall monk gave her a Buddhism bead, saying, "That is the Happiness Together Courtyard's great happiness and formless empty comprehension, too, specially used to confuse unaware women. They swindle these women into the walls of courtyard to become cauldrons for dual cultivation. Benefactor, in the future, if anyone comes to you to preach, so long as you keep this bead on you, chant essence cultivating Brahma acts, my Buddha's mercy, 3 times, then you can resist bewitchment." The woman expressed her gratitude over and over again, and then she quickly left. That tall Dafen Temple monk once again introduced himself to Su Xing. "Poor monk is Brahma Mo. 3. Poor monk is Brahma Hui. Your servant is Su Xing." Su Xing nodded. He was unknown in this place anyways, so whether his name was real or fake lacked meaning. "These are your servants' wives. We heard about the Feast of All Souls, the myriad schools of Buddhism, so we came out of curiosity. However, having heard Great Master's words just now, this Buddhist Pure Land is apparently not too pure. The slightly younger Brahma Hui angrily interjected, "The happiness together courtyard is the disgrace of the mundane. How can the Daffin temple be compared with such filth? Benefactor, we implore you to be cautious. The happiness together courtyard cultivates happiness zen, 5, particularly suited to bewitching women, especially female cultivators from the Azure Dragon territory. Benefactor's beautiful family will perhaps attract the attention of the happiness together courtyard. If Benefactor is afraid of trouble, poor monk has Daffin Buddhist beads," Brahma Mo said. "This great master is compassionate, your servant thanks you, however, that is not necessary." Su Xing chuckled. "If they dare come, your servant shall have them go see Buddha himself." Su Xing's cultivation was galaxy late stage. Things like bewitchment soul techniques and such naturally did not need them to do more than what was required. Brahma Mo also probed them a bit further. "Poor monk still has other matters. This is goodbye. If Benefactor has reason, come to Daffin Temple." Brahma Mo and Brahma Hui took their leave. Su Xing did not delay them, instead slightly shaking his head. "Big brother, why do you shake your head? They seem to be very good." And Suan was confused. "This mundane pure land honestly isn't the least bit pure." Su Xing smiled. Wu Xingjie said, "Little sister did not notice. The happiness together courtyard uses soul techniques to bewitch, while this Daffin temple also is covertly promoting their own Buddhism. Their appearance is that of rescuers, but actually they are taking advantage of bad situations to grow their believers. They each have sinister motives. However, the Daffin temple is indeed much better than that happiness together courtyard. It is hard to avoid fights and schemes in the Buddha kingdom." Wu Xiao was somewhat disappointed. "Where there are people, there will be outlaws. Where there are outlaws, there will be messy affairs. It's unavoidable." Su Xing was already accustomed to this, but the power struggle of Buddha kingdom appeared to be much more complex and disordered than he had imagined. Originally, Su Xing thought the Buddha kingdom was prevalent in Buddhism, now it seemed that was far from the case. "It seems to bloom this meditative mind we must first clearly discern the powers of Buddha kingdom," Su Xing said. "Now is this young lady's time to go on stage." Shi Yuan smiled attractively, walking in front of everyone with a colored glass prayer bead in her hand. "Your Honor, you went and gathered information just now." Lin Yingmei's brows rose. Shi Yuan proudly nodded. "As the best thief under heaven, little sister certainly has lots of professional ethics. This Buddha kingdom feels very disharmonious, so little sister went and investigated." Everyone praised Shi Yuan's scruples. "All right, Your Honor, do not spoil things for now. First, find a place. There are too many prying eyes here." Wu Xingjie said. "Good." A couple hours later, Su Xing's group found a General Crossing 6 tavern to stay in. Upon entering their room, Shi Yuan impatiently brought up the news she had acquired. As Su Xing had anticipated, although the mundane Pure Land was called Buddha Kingdom, the reality was this place nevertheless was a place that cultivated 3,000 Buddhist paths, with crooks mixed in with honest folk, people from all trades, with all varieties present, probably better than the Azure Dragon territory by only a bit. Buddhism propagated the teaching of seeing a world in a flower, a world in a blade of grass. For this reason, this Buddha kingdom altogether was split into 18 celestials, like the great Liang dynasty's provinces. In these 18 celestials were found thousands of Buddhist sections. Among them was the particularly often heard of 6 ancestors 1 saint. 7. What sort of people are the 6 ancestors 1 saint? Su Xing curiously asked. Shi Yuan pondered. The 6 ancestors are the equivalent of this place's strongest Buddhist cultivators, peak characters. Yuan guesses they're probably of cultivations that are at least supervoid stage. And that 1 saint is even more powerful. Could it be transforming star of annihilation? The 1 saint is called Saint Four Noble Truths. More than 10 years ago, he reached supervoid late stage, earlier than Emperor Liang. 10 years ago, he entered seclusion inside the 9-level pagoda at the middle of the mundane world to comprehend transforming star of annihilation. Reportedly, he is possibly already at a stage where he can enter transforming star of annihilation. Saint Four Noble Truths was a Buddha-like existence. They probably could find information about him just by asking around only a little bit. What positions are the Happiness Together courtyard and the Dafen temple situated in? Wu Xinjie pondered. Are they among the 6 ancestors? It seems so. I didn't investigate too much, but what that Dafen temple monk said is right. The Happiness Together courtyard seems to have a bad reputation in this place, the most unpopular of the 6 great Buddhist schools. Is that so? Wu Xinjie's eyes had a cunning light. Does elder sister Xinjie have any other good ideas? Shi Yuan's eyes shone. She rubbed her hands together. For the happiness Zen this happy together courtyard, does elder sister Xinjie want Yuaner to rob them clean? Since they are one of the 6 ancestor sects of the Buddha kingdom, now is not appropriate to stirring up trouble. Wu Xiao's brows knit together. Currently, Su Xing's meditative mind lotus seed was urgent. If they were to fight with the 6 ancestors inside the domain of the Buddha kingdom, that honestly was somewhat not too wise. Lin Yingmei nodded. She did not fear whatever 6 ancestors at all, but Su Xing's meditative mind lotus seed demanded immediate action. This honestly made the girl somewhat scared and on edge. Does elder sister have some countermeasure? The majestic star asked Wu Xinjie. N. It is better to first have young Lord bloom the meditative mind lotus seed. If the happy together courtyard themselves provoke use, then we need not be courteous at all. Wu Xinjie smiled. N. But how should we bloom this lotus flower? Gongsun Huang blinked her eyes, also showing concern. Wu Xinjie said, Xinjie has investigated. The meditative mind lotus flower is Buddhism's secret treasure. Currently, there are altogether 3 methods right now that can make young lord's meditative mind lotus flower bloom in a short time. This first method is the most common, to hear a senior monk propagate Dharma. Comprehend the meditative mind, and the lotus seed will naturally bloom. This way relies on chance. Sometimes, comprehending the meditative mind may make it blossom. This meditative mind is a mystery within a mystery, and sometimes, it is possible to make that comprehension instantly. Other times, you can pass away and have nothing to show for it. Xinjie has decided to first have young lord try this first method. With young lord's great compassion, perhaps blooming will take but an instant. But you also said that he may not necessarily comprehend the meditative mind after a lifetime. Is this not too risky? Wu Xiao was not at all too approving. Calmly listening to the Dharma and comprehending the meditative mind in the harm star's perspective honestly was somewhat a fluke. Master does not have too much time at all. Yan Yizhen very rarely opposed. Wu Xinjie consoled them, little sister, do not worry for now. Listen to Xinjie finish. There is another reason why Xinjie chose such a method of fortune is that the middle of the Feast of All Souls happens to have myriad Buddhist dharmas that can be seen and heard. Secondly, we can try for 3 days. If there are no results, we can only choose the second way and the third way. Elder sister, what are these second and third ways? And Suan asked. The second way is that adding the 3 existence marks to the body reportedly can make the lotus flower blossom. However, the precondition is that there must be a meditative mind lotus seed. This actually is the same situation as young lord. And what reason is there that you didn't choose this one? Su Xing smiled and asked. Wu Xinjie was helpless. The 3 existence marks reportedly is something that can only appear when a Buddhist cultivator reaches a satisfactory realm, more important than their own life, and only one of the existence marks will appear. Xinjie fears that those sects' monks will have them, and to have them turn over the existence marks to young lord honestly is not too possible. Furthermore, the 3 existence marks blooming the meditative mind lotus seed is Xinjie's conjecture and is still not completely certain. Su Xing understood. No matter who, it was impossible to give such an important thing to an outsider. Forcibly taking it actually was not a restricted option either, but doing so skewed the meditative mind, and it was unknown whether there would be consequences, let alone that if they actually squabbled in the Buddha kingdom, that would undoubtedly turn the entire Buddha kingdom into an enemy. Even if Su Xing's methods were defiant of the natural order, enough ants could bite an elephant to death. And what is the third way? The answer went without saying. Contracting the heavenly solitary star flowery monk Lu Jishan. 2. Speaking of which, the heavenly solitary star is very unconventional in the star duels. Earthly solitary star Tang Lianxin expressionlessly spoke. Yes, truly the most unconventional. Wu Xinjie said. What's the inside scoop? Su Xing brimmed with enthusiasm about the gossip about any of the star maidens. Compared to Xinjie, Xiao and Yingmei ought to be much clearer. Wu Xinjie attractively winked. Lin Yingmei spoke bluntly. As it turned out, the heavenly solitary star's innate skill was meditative mind. Compared to the fair-skinned gentleman Zheng Yanran's pretty and such, this type of innate skill honestly could render people speechless. While pretty could at least make the star master's appearance more handsome, meditative mind nevertheless had no visible uses. The meditative mind itself had always been a very mysterious thing, and now, becoming an innate skill was even more obscure. In the historical data of previous star duels, the star master of the heavenly solitary star had never manifested the impression of one who had gone through meditative mind or the like. The heavenly solitary star had actually contracted Buddhist cultivators, but on this aspect, it was not necessarily possible to see the situation of the meditative mind. If it was any other earthly star, that would be it. However, the heavenly solitary star flowery monk was classified as a peak martial general among the 108 star maidens. Innate skills absolutely could not be extensive, like the harm stars, pilgrim's array, the majestic stars, battle doctrine, or the brave stars, the unrivaled, all of which shook Liangshan. For this reason, in the many generations that came, the heavenly solitary star's meditative mind had always been discussed fondly. And in past generations, some heavenly solitary stars slowly pursued the path of the meditative mind. Right, Chai Ling had summarized the records of the previous 8 noble stars, listing in one star duel 7 puzzles. Reportedly, solving one of the star duel's 7 puzzles can unravel the true identity of the star duels. The flowery monk's meditative mind is one of them. Wu Xinjie recalled. There was even something like this. However, even if we signed a contract, blooming it definitely won't be simple. Su Xing clicked his tongue, but Chao Gai dared to give me the meditative mind lotus seed, so it shouldn't be so easy. Right. The latter 2 methods can't be used. It seems we can only go listen to some monks talk about Dharma. Shi Yuan said regretfully. To be frank, the thief star very much hated talking reason with Buddhist monks. They completely were meant to trick people. 3. Your Honor, there is no need to be so worried. In the records, there seemed to be a youth named Luo something that encountered a Buddhist monk's preaching when he was the age of 18. Reportedly, he comprehended the meditative mind that very night and thus converted to Buddhism. Shi Yuan rolled her eyes. Elder sister, Su Xing won't go become a monk after opening this meditative mind lotus seed, right? All the girls blushed in shame. The thief star suddenly felt that this sort of possibility was too great. They all said that Buddhism was of glib tongues and flowery words. Just the millions in the Buddha kingdom were a hint. Shi Yuan truly was somewhat worried Su Xing would be swindled by those Zen masters. Su Xing wiped his sweat. How would I ever be willing to part with you? Young master would never be bewitched. Lin Yingmei was very confident in Su Xing. By that time, the great master would have to thank the heavens and earth if he was not fooled by Su Xing. Wu Xiao twitched her lips. In her understanding of this hubby, Su Xing absolutely was classified as that sort that could move a Buddhist monk to tears with his words. All of the girls could not help but laugh. Wife, am I so incredible in your eyes? Su Xing fake coughed, deadpan. Su Xing addressing Wu Xiao as wife for the first time right in front of the sisters made her face turn slightly red. She glared at him in embarrassment. The others had long already more or less guessed this, which only made their laughing even louder. Could it be that the divine mathematician Jiang Jing's divine calculations was not the least bit useful? Yan Yizhen had her suspicions. It has its uses. Xinjie has guessed a bit of it, but Xinjie still needs time to ponder over it. The top priority is still to first try the other methods. Jiang Shueishue's verse is too demanding, and we will be contrarily overreaching. Xinjie explained. Yan Yizhen and the others nodded in understanding. Then, the others discussed some other matters, and instantly, it was sunset. However, the speech of Zen masters began propagating at the strike of the bell. Now was already sunset, so they could only wait until early morning tomorrow. Can little sisters sleep in the other rooms tonight? Wu Xinjie suddenly became bashful. It's fine if we sleep in young lord's star nest. Shi Yuan stroked her hair. And that is why Xinjie says, can you sleep in the other rooms for now? The afterglow of the setting sun made Wu Xinjie's face very red. For a time, they were at a loss. Immediately afterwards, Shi Yuan and Tang Lianxin understood Wu Xiao's whole face similarly blushed red. She turned and left the room without saying a word. Big brother, elder sister, good night. And Suan meekly left. Shi Yuan actually very much wanted to stay behind, however, she still was pulled away by Tang Lianxin. Oh. Gong Sun Huang hummed, somewhat reluctantly leaving Su Xing's shoulder, which gave him a feeling of guilt. In the end, Yan Yizhen, Wu Xinjie and Lin Yingmei were the last three girls in the room. Do you require slave servant to attend to you? Yan Yizhen's words were stunning, yet her face was calm as a dry well. As Su Xing's maid, she indeed was specialized in making people yearn for her. Cough, little E, maybe Xinjie has something important. Please go look after them first. Su Xing felt sorry. Yan Yizhen nodded, left, and closed the door in one smooth motion. Young master, your servant remembered something. You too, chat first. Your servant leaves for now. Lin Yingmei wanted to flee. Xinjie pulled her back, little sister Yingmei, you cannot leave. We must help young lord. So long as it involved Su Xing, Lin Yingmei immediately became more calm than anyone. Xinjie, what are you planning? Even if you wanted to sleep, it's a little early. Su Xing looked at the evening sky. The Feast of All Souls still had temple fairs and fireworks to watch. It is like this. Wu Xinjie's palm opened, and two golden pills appeared. This is the yin-yang golden lotus pill. Xinjie especially had little sister Suan refine it according to the yin-yang lovemaking powder, however, thousand-leaf golden lotus, shala tree leaves, polo nectar and other things have been mixed in. Borrowing Suan's star beast good fortune's spiritual power to meticulously compound it, she used a very long time to refine just a dozen. Could it be that useful? Lin Yingmei stirred restlessly. Yin and yang complement each other. This is the first medicine Suan compounded using Buddhist materials. Relying on the Buddha kingdom's mundane pure land perhaps will be of help to young lord's meditative mind lotus seed. Since we have already given young lord our virginities, Yingmei, do not be so coy. We are sisters, anyways. Lin Yingmei's face was very red. As the person in question, Su Xing was somewhat slow. Yingmei, if you do not wish to do this, Xinjie will not blame you. This is also the first time Xinjie will be serving with a little sister. Your servant shall serve, and that is, Lin Yingmei bit her lip. Are we really doing three people together? Although Su Xing had not fantasized about this, as the time actually drew near, his heart was more nervous than his first time. Hua Shui, go stand guard. Wu Xinjie exhaled. The nine-tailed spirit fox Hua Shui flashed out. Its charming fox eyes flowed with flirtation, and it instantly left the room, guarding outside. The three of them stared at each other. In the end, the knowledge star still was the most bold. Wu Xinjie's eyes glittered with charm, and with one hand, she undid her clothes and slipped completely out. Her perfect body was threadbare, her shapely curves exposed, her fragrance assailing Su Xing's nose. Lin Yingmei's shy eyes did not know where to look. Feeling that Wu Xinjie was doing her best, Su Xing never thought of making his beautiful wife disappointed. He pulled Wu Xinjie into an embrace and kissed her. Lin Yingmei hesitated for a bit, and then she also slipped out of her clothes. Skin that surpassed snow, milky white underwear that exposed exciting and erect breasts, and a view that could peer at the smooth plumpness peeking out from the sides. Perfectly straight jade legs of the finest quality, like carved jade, completely lacked any blemishes, and the secret scene half covered by that underwear. Yang fire rushed straight through Su Xing's spirit. Wu Xinjie immediately felt that iron-like hardness against her inner thigh become increasingly scorching, like a completely red sword, so scorching that Wu Xinjie's flower gates opened, gradually growing moist. "Young lord, you are so naughty." Wu Xinjie's ear-side whisper was like silk. Su Xing's right hand stroked Wu Xinjie's jade peaks, and his left hand waved, pulling Lin Yingmei with a rush into his embrace. "Young master," Lin Yingmei's eyes slightly shivered. "Little sister Yingmei is honestly adorable. Young lord must properly love little sister." Wu Xinjie's face was red, and she pushed Su Xing to Yingmei. Yingmei widened those clean and limpid eyes, her expression more nervous than her first time. His empty left hand passed by Lin Yingmei's underwear, landing on her supple butt. Lowering his head, their tongues wound together. One man and two women dropped down and went back and forth, or with one held in the left and one in the right, or with the two beauties leaned over, or with one in front and one in back, or both stacked, and he entering from behind. The night was awash with shyness, the bright moon suspended high. Only the gurgling sounds of the river could be heard, as well as the endless pleasure of two girls. Buddha Kingdom, Shala World, Honey Ripple Temple. With the current Feast of All Souls, the Buddha Kingdom's myriad Buddhist sects would preach Dharma, with countless monasteries and pagodas all full of pious Buddhist disciples. The burning incense could be said to be unending. In the Shala World, only this Honey Ripple Temple's gates were closed shut. The main courtyard was dusty, quite desolate, like its own individual world compared to the other Feast of All Souls temples. On this day, two monks hastily entered Honey Ripple Temple. They were seemingly already accustomed to those sounds of sex. If Su Xing was present, he would have recognized these two monks as the ones that used a soul technique to bewitch the woman. A shiny bald-headed monk saw the two, and he called them forth with disdain. "Joyous Jia, Joyous Qing, what about the person you were to bring?" Elder monk Wonderful Place, too. When Joyous Jia and Joyous Qing saw him, they immediately were respectful. Elder monk Wonderful Place had a dissatisfied expression. "You two went out for so long, why have you come back empty-handed? Could it be you two have forgotten that senior monk required the selection of a new dual cultivation cauldron?" It turned out this Honey Ripple Temple was of the Happy Together courtyard. Because the Chan specialized in happiness did not open its doors for outsiders, it was during this Feast of All Souls that the Happy Together courtyard's senior monk Extreme Happiness specially ordered the disciples to seek top-notch cultivating cauldrons from the Azure Dragon territory to comprehend happiness. Chan, great elder monk, this cannot be blamed on us. This is all because of the meddling of those Dafen Temple's monks. Joyous Jia compliantly narrated what had happened. Joyous Qing correspondingly showed a resentful expression. The Dafen Temple is sincere, honestly not placing senior monk in their eyes. Elder monk Wonderful Place's expression turned severe. He rebuked them in a low voice. "You know how the other sects in the mundane Pure Land fear our Happy Together courtyard. How could you use such methods to make those bald asses of the Dafen Temple compromise you? What face does senior monk have then?" Joyous Jia and Joyous Qing's expressions were fearful as they confessed guilt over and over. "Go retrieve some other cauldrons. If senior monk takes his anger out, you and I will suffer the consequences." Elder Monk Wonderful Place warned. Great Elder Monk, back to the topic at hand, the Great Sect Earth Mysterious Extreme Happiness Eternal Life Record, 3, is already at the Mahayana stage. Junior brothers must not be sloppy when seeking cauldrons. This is natural. Joyous Jia and Joyous Qing glanced at each other, and their eyes twinkled. Junior brother already has candidates for cauldrons, but the opponent is too powerful. We do not dare be direct. This time was also because of them that we discarded the cauldron. What do you mean? Elder Monk Wonderful Place's tone sunk. Joyous Qing explained that Su Xing brought numerous beauties, embellishing his story as he narrated. That man brought 7 women to my Buddha kingdom. Elder Monk Wonderful Place felt incredulous listening. Exactly, and in Junior brother's eyes, each of those women are as beautiful as fairies, remarkably gorgeous, the cream of the crop. Junior brother also has never seen so many women at one man's side. Even that Emperor Liang does not compare. In Junior brother's eyes, if these women are given to Senior Monk as cultivation cauldrons, he definitely can make twice the work with half the effort, with natural success. Joyous Jia promptly fanned the flames. Great Elder Monk's cultivation is at supercluster middle stage. Hindering him is more than enough, but several of those beauties are not too easy to attract. Joyous Qing promptly agreed. Elder Monk Wonderful Place was not an idiot. Listening to them speak, he somewhat understood. You mean that man is a star master? One of those women is a star general. About so, more or less. Since she is a fiend star, why bother provoking them? Elder Monk Wonderful Place coldly asked. Great Elder Monk, we must. It was not us who provoked him, it was they who provoked us. Joyous Jia smiled. That man meddled with the sex affairs, he was in the wrong first. What we do is a matter of right. Great Elder Monk, if we can send the Star Maiden to Senior Monk to use as a cauldron, this is boundlessly beneficial. Senior Monk would be the #1 in Buddha Kingdom. Who would dare underestimate our happy together courtyard in the future? Fiend stars are not easy to provoke. If we encounter Wu Song or Lin Chong, how are we not twisting our fates? Elder Immortal Wonderful Place was not enticed by those apparently beautiful prospects, still considering the gains and losses. Compared to the giddiness of the two, those 2 ignorant and incompetent disciples that used bewitching magic to take a woman, he clearly was even more calm. Great Elder Monk is thinking too much. How can legendary star generals like Wu Song or Lin Chong follow that man? Junior brother feels that man most likely has a subpar earthly star marshal general. Joyous Jia snorted disdainfully. How can you be so sure? Elder Monk know that man has many beauties at his side, he is definitely bluffing. Furthermore, he is most probably a pompous hedonistic heir that has come to Buddha Kingdom to show off. Snatching any number of those sweet beauties to present to Senior Monk is an achievement. What else does Elder Monk have to worry about? They are in the light, and we in the dark. Who would know if something happens? If there is blame, it is his for being too provocative. Elder Monk Wonderful Place muttered, somewhat convinced. Any way he looked, there apparently did not seem to be any disadvantages. How could he have known that Liangshan continent had turned out a freak like Su Xing? Not only did he have Lin Chong and Wu Song, he even had several famous star generals accompanying him. How was he any normal person? How about this? Everything must not be rushed. First observe them for any information. Then, we make a decision. Elder Monk Wonderful Place made his determination. Currently, Senior Monk's comprehension of happiness Chan had reached the critical point. If they truly used a star general as a cauldron, that indeed was unprecedented. For this reason, maybe there was the chance to comprehend the meditative mind Golden Lotus. Since this was the Buddha Kingdom's territory, Elder Monk Wonderful Place felt this danger was worth facing. While Great Elder Monk Wonderful Place of the Happy Together Courtyard made the sex monks carry out observations, Su Xing at this time was currently in the Shala Words Shala Tree Treasure Hall listening to a senior monk propagate Dharma. The Shala Treasure Hall was the largest Buddhist hall in Shala world. At the same time, it contained several 100,000 people comfortably. There were high platforms above, with the Shala world's most famous Chan masters sitting upon those. Calmly speaking the Dharma, the several 100,000 people quietly sat around, and Su Xing was one among them. For the sake of letting them become worry-free as soon as possible, Su Xing listened to the Dharma with rapt attention, not leaving out a single word. If it was before, even when he was a child, he could not sit still listening to his elders speak about Buddhism. However, although he concentrated very hard, that Dharma was cryptic beyond compare. Su Xing was still a little sleepy. He only heard the Chan master say thus. All of you good knowing advisors should purify your minds and listen to my explanation of the Dharma. If you wish to realize all knowledge, you must understand the samadhi of one mark. If you do not dwell in marks anywhere and do not give rise to hate or love, do not grasp or reject, and do not calculate advantage or disadvantage, production and destruction while in the midst of marks, but instead remain tranquil, calm, and yielding, then you will have achieved the samadhi of one mark. In all places, whether walking, standing, sitting, or lying down, to maintain a straight and uniform mind, to attain the unmoving Bodhimanda and the true realization of the Pure Land. That is called the samadhi of one conduct. One who perfects the two samadhis is like earth in which seeds are planted, buried in the ground, they are nourished and grow, ripening and bearing fruit. The one mark and one conduct are just like that. I now speak the Dharma which is like the falling of the timely rain, moistening the great earth. Your Buddha nature is like the seeds which, receiving moisture, will sprout and grow. Those who receive my teaching will surely obtain Bodhi, and those who practice my conduct will certainly certify to the wonderful fruit. Listen to my verse, the mind ground contains every seed, under the universal rain they all sprout, flower and feeling, sudden enlightenment, the Bodhi fruit accomplishes itself. 5. If these words were separated, Su Xing could recognize each one, but combined together, it was somewhat amidst the cloud and mist. He completely had a listening to obscure writing sort of feeling. Do you wrinkle your brow because you are dissatisfied with the propagation of the Dharma? How can you comprehend the Buddhist mind like this? Wu Xiao's serene voice appeared. Su Xing cast a sidelong glance, looking at the woman sitting next to him in meditation. Then, he looked at Yan Yizhen and the Gongsun Huang to the side. The three girls clearly were very invested, showing states of pensiveness. Hearing the Dharma sermon this time really was too boring. As far as the star generals were concerned, this completely lacked meaning. Wu Xinjie and the rest also did not want to waste time on this. Other than the harm star pilgrim that was acquainted with Buddhism, skillful star Yan Yizhen and Gongsun Huang also accompanied Su Xing to listen to this Dharma. The others took this time to do other things. Lin Yingmei then assumed the role of protector. Wifey, translate just what the hell this great master is saying, Su Xing whispered. Wu Xiao had a powerless, you did not understand a thing, as expected, feeling. The words this Buddhist sect uses are too strange, I can't help it if I don't understand. Wifey, explain. Su Xing could not help it. Wu Xiao was stern. Lord Husband, please listen carefully. This will be beneficial for Lord Husband's understanding of the Buddhist mind. Su Xing nodded. What the great master is saying is that if you wish to realize all knowledge, you must understand the samadhi of one mark and the samadhi of one conduct. If you can be with everything and not be attached to any marks, to be with marks and not have hate or love, fondness or abandonment, to not consider the pros and cons of things, and remain calm, tranquil and accommodating, then this is called the samadhi of one mark. No matter where you are, moving, standing, sitting or laying, maintain a direct mind about everything, good or bad. There is no need to practice within the path. Thus, you can genuinely attain the Pure Land. This is called the samadhi of one conduct. Pausing, she saw that Su Xing apparently comprehended it. The corner of Wu Xiao's lips stifled a smile, and then she said, if everyone possesses the two types of samadhi, that is just like those seeds, retained, hidden and nurtured over a long period, only then reaping its fruit. The samadhi of one mark and samadhi of one conduct are just like this. It really is very mysterious, and the rest? Su Xing saw that Wu Xiao had stopped, so he asked. As for the rest, the Chan master says his dharma is just like a timely rain, sprinkling and wetting all over the earth. Our Buddha natures are just like those seeds, and encountering the moisture of this rain will germinate the seeds without exception. Those that accept these teachings definitely will attain enlightenment, and those that follow them will definitely obtain the fruits of their labors. Su Xing was pensive. He praised, I actually understood it when wifey said it. Can Lord Husband's comprehension just now be called true understanding? Wu Xiao slightly frowned. If it were up to me, wifey, what you said is more awesome than this Chan master. How about we discuss Dharma tonight? Su Xing chuckled. Wu Xiao was slightly red. She resentfully glared at Su Xing, as if she was saying, you were romantic enough last night, do you still have designs on your servant? Heaven and earth are but reflections. What I was talking about is a very pure discussion. Su Xing's expression as he spoke very much lacked persuasiveness. Two benefactors, the Shala Treasure Hall is publicly for people with the mind for Dharma. If you wish to flirt, then we must ask you do so elsewhere. Suddenly, the expression of the Chan master above them sunk, and he unhappily issued them notice to leave. The treasure hall went silent. Millions of gazes successively stared at Su Xing, like drawn swords and daggers. Wu Xiao was startled, and just as she was about to rise, Su Xing pulled her back. He stood, faced the millions of gazes, and as if he did not see them he faintly smiled, for great master to speak words so ill, it honestly violates enlightenment. It seems this dharma cannot be listened to. Benefactor, there is no need to speak nonsense. Just now, benefactor clearly borrowed confusion with old monk's words to take advantage of the female benefactor next to you. The Chan master was expressionless, treating Su Xing as a pervert that took advantage of dharma to assault a beauty. Your servant merely feels great master's words can be a bit simpler. Su Xing played things down. Once these words were uttered, they immediately made the entire hall stare furiously at him. This layman unexpectedly held the great master's speech in contempt. The Chan master was resentful. In any case, he was a famous Chan master in the Shala world. He could be tranquil over this. He calmly smiled and asked, it seems that benefactor has the same feelings towards old monk's words. Old monk shall respectfully listen to benefactor's learning. What was the point of having a layman like Su Xing speak with the Chan master about dharma? He completely wanted to humiliate Su Xing, and Wu Xiao's heart had resentment. The others showed expressions of joy at his misfortune. They seemed to want to see Su Xing's dumbstruck expression of embarrassment. Wu Xiao inwardly blamed Su Xing for his blabbing, and just as she wanted to help this lord husband out of this predicament, she suddenly found that not only did Su Xing's face not have any embarrassment, rather, he even had a somewhat calm ease. Then your servant shall be so bold as to offer disgrace in front of great master. Su Xing laughed and said, in my perspective, these dharmas are non-dual, the mind so as well. The Tao is pure, and there are no forms that exist. We must not contemplate purity. Regard the mind as empty, for this mind is itself pure. Do not accept or reject anything. With individual effort, go forth following karma. 6. Su Xing finished speaking and put his hands together in prayer. Ah! Wu Xiao was unable to conceal her shock. At what time did this man have such a meditative mind? The main hall was absolutely silent immediately, an expression of not daring to utter a word. The Chan master that was resentful of Su Xing also was stupefied, unable to believe these words unexpectedly came from the mouth of a layman. The Chan master was surprised by this turn of events. He did not foresee the man before him would unexpectedly have this sort of comprehension. Not bad, benefactor proves himself by his words, even making old monk gratified. The Chan master recovered his composure, slightly smiling. However, he was unwilling to show he had been convinced by the words of a superficial young master. His mouth nevertheless was unwilling to let what Su Xing said slip by, but a deluge of flowers is nevertheless incapable of comprehending Buddha nature. At this, even Wu Xiao was dissatisfied. This monk clearly was mocking Su Xing in order to talk big. Just as Wu Xiao wanted to speak, how could she have anticipated Su Xing would carefreely laugh aloud? Chan master spoke of Buddha nature just now. Indeed. Precisely. My Buddha of compassion does not tell a lie. The Chan master was stern. An expression of mockery hung on Su Xing's face. Glancing at his surroundings, those masses of Buddhist disciples currently wore jeering smiles, as if they laughing at him overestimating his capabilities. Su Xing abruptly used a shifting movement escape technique to instantly arrive atop the platform. Everyone was in an uproar, the eyes of each Vajra Arhat bulging. Yan Yizhen, Gongsun Huang, and Wu Xiao simultaneously flashed over and appeared around Su Xing, apathetically facing the millions of Buddhist disciples. The Chan master of the Sao Tree world showed a triumphant expression, saying calmly, "Why is benefactor angry?" Su Xing suddenly coughed, and then he spat on the statue of Buddha. Boom! This spitting suddenly shook the hall. From top to bottom, the masses of Buddhist disciples were each dumb as wooden chickens. Su Xing, what are you doing? Wu Xiao's complexion changed. This man of hers was unavoidably too unreasonable, unexpectedly spitting on a statue of Buddha. The pilgrim's heart was somewhat unhappy, much less the Vajra Arhats of the hall. Killing intent suddenly shuddered, and the millions of disciples nearly wanted to tear Su Xing apart. As the old saying goes, if looks could kill, then Su Xing's group would long already have been scattered ash. The Chan master was also furious. How could this be? You unexpectedly would dare to spit upon Buddha's body. Su Xing coughed again. He calmly clapped his hands in prayer towards the Chan master. Then your servant asks you, Sir, Chan master, inform where Buddha is not present within the void. I have to spit again right now. Would you please tell me which place does not have Buddha? The Chan master was stunned, speechless. The killing intent that originally pervaded the hall seemed to have been doused in a bucket of cold water, even more chilling than the icy plains of deathly stillness. All of the disciples, Vajra and Arhats looked at each other. For a time, they were shaken by Su Xing's counter-question. The three girls beside Su Xing also showed shocked expressions. Su Xing appeared irrational in bearing, but his counter-question nevertheless made people unable to reply. Buddha nature is everywhere and fills the void, the Buddhist body congests the universe. This was Buddhism's supreme truth. The Chan master was bewildered Su Xing would spit on the statue of Buddha. He thought himself reverent of Buddha, but in fact, this precisely demonstrated the Chan master did not understand what a Buddha was. Buddha's truth body pervades the void, filling the truth world, so Su Xing said, Please tell me, sir, where is there not Buddha? He had aligned himself with the truth of Buddhism by chance, making the Chan master's face become liver-colored and speechless for the longest time. Since he was a famous Chan master of the Buddha kingdom's 18 celestials, his mood naturally recovered far quicker than the average person's. The Chan master put his hands together in prayer and chanted, Amitba, Sadhu, Sadhu, old monk's eyes are dull. This benefactor is related to my Buddha, please take the seat. Gongsun Huang could not help but laugh. Su Xing spat on the statue of Buddha, so for this monk to praise him actually was quite funny. Your servant only shallowly shows sense. That spit just now was an offense. Su Xing still was deferential. In someone else's domain, rank was always to be yielded to. Great master, your servant asks for forgiveness. No matter, no matter. Benefactor's words have made old monk enlightened with perfect wisdom. The Chan master smiled. Su Xing's group sat on that Buddhist seat. Those with him were Arhat Vajra great masters famous in Buddhism, and the four appeared particularly dazzling. The Chan master asked, "Does benefactor intend to propagate the Dharma?" I am ashamed. Your servant sincerely asks for guidance." That just now was a sudden epiphany courtesy of what Great Master said. Great Master must not feel that I am very capable, ha, ha. Su Xing was not very apologetic. Wu Xiao rolled her eyes. Poor monk's monastic name is Withered Leaf. Benefactor can address poor monk as Withered Leaf. Su Xing announced his surname. The hall was still discussing spiritedly. As far as Su Xing's group suddenly sitting on the seat, they were unaccustomed to such a thing, however, no one dared to say anything. To be able to talk Chan Master Withered Leaf into feeling inferior, any way it was put, Su Xing had the qualifications to do so. Elder sister, can big brother truly blossom the meditative mind lotus seed by listening to Dharma? And Suan asked. Su Xing's side went to listen to Dharma while Wu Xinjia's group strolled around Buddha Kingdom's market square. Submit to the will of heaven. Wu Xinjia replied instantly. Submit to the will of heaven. These words clearly made Lin Yingmei very bewildered. Does senior sister have something arranged? Tang Lianxin spoke. The taciturn solitary star's observation was very sharp, for she saw that Wu Xinjia's manner was not at all as if she was prepared to submit to the will of heaven. There is. Actually, Xinjia plans to go help young lord collect the 3 universal truths while young lord listens to Dharma. Wu Xinjia fiddled with the string of beads in her hand, her expression bright. Does collecting these 3 existence marks not need us to find those ancestors? And Suan was confused. Even if they were any more powerful, they had no way to contend against the entire Buddha kingdom, right? If Xinjia cannot even settle a matter like this, then how can she be worthy of the name Knowledge Star? Wu Xinjia self-confidently replied. It seemed she already had a countermeasure. How does elder sister plan to do this? Buddhism's 3 existence marks are split into the mark of all things are impermanent, the mark of all dharmas are not self, and the mark of nirvana silence. Each of these marks reportedly can only appear in a supervoid cultivator. What is known at present is that the Buddha kingdom has at least 6 supervoid stages. Are the 3 existence marks still unreachable? As for angering Buddha kingdom, Xinjia naturally has a way to assist. And, then it is for the best we do not let this slip by. Lin Yingmei nodded. Tang Lianxin asked, what do we need to do now? Just being like this is fine. After a while, the group passed through a bustling market. They saw a deserted temple that was very cold and cheerless compared to the others. Is this temple somewhat not too ordinary? Lin Yingmei warned. Wu Xinjia smiled. She lifted her head towards the signboard, Honey Ripple Temple, pondered for a moment, and just when she was about to leave, suddenly at this moment, the temple's main gates slowly opened. Several monks walked out in greeting. Lady benefactors, please do not be so hasty to leave. A monk called out. Please, great master, is there something the matter? Wu Xinjia turned her head back, seemingly smiling. Since you are passing by this temple, there is fate. Since there is fate, why not enter and have a seat? This temple's overseer wonderful place is currently explaining the Dharma without bounds and invites those with fate to take a look. The monk spoke so pompously he made Wu Xinjia unable to help but laugh. Buddhism tastefully begs. This fate word is honestly clever, however, I just happen to have something to request counsel. I ask for great master for guidance. Please. Passing through the back mountain, they directly arrived at the main hall. An old man of white hair and brows currently sitting upright and still on a prayer mat. Elder wonderful place, the monk deferentially clasped his hands together. You may retire. Follow poor monk to receive these lady benefactors. Elder wonderful place said. The main gates shut, and the inside of the temple was dark. What temple is this? Lin Yingmei saw those utterly dirt-covered statues, and her brow wrinkled. Great master, please speak. Wu Xinjia faintly said. Elder Wonderful Place's eyes had an odd glint, feeling bewilderment towards these women who came to their door. His expression was gentle as he said, "What old monk shall speak of today is the Western Paradise Extreme Happiness Chan." 2. Wait a moment, before this, if it possible for little girl to ask a question. Wu Xinjie pondered. Please ask. May little girl be so bold as to ask if this Western Paradise Extreme Happiness Chan is one of the Happiness Chan? Little girl most recently is currently cultivating dual cultivation arts with her young lord, but progress is increasingly slow. May we ask what guidance the Happiness Chan sect can provide? Elder Wonderful Place was stunned, not having anticipated Wu Xinjie to ask this so directly. Old monk fears that the Azure Dragon territory's dual cultivation arts are not able to help. Elder Wonderful Place faintly smiled. Is that so? Wu Xinjie's face was regretful, then little girl asks Great Master to propagate the Dharma. Perhaps there is something we can find to be helpful. Then listen well, lady benefactors. Elder Wonderful Place's hands suddenly squeezed a prayer bead, formed a hand seal, and a Buddhist light flew out. The entire main hall lit up, suddenly shedding the filth on the statues of Buddha. On the contrary, they now contained a hard-to-imagine solemnity. They listened to Elder Wonderful Place speak slowly of the path, shifting a bead with each word, emitting a life awakening, like thunder in their ears. Lin Yingmei's expression changed. She only felt the Dharma linger nearby, the surroundings revealing goddesses and arhats of the Buddha Kingdom Pure Land. Wu Xinjie and the rest first stared in surprise, and then they slowly lost focus, replaced with an emptiness. Outside the main hall, Joyous Jia, Joyous Qing and several dozen of the Happiness Together Courtyard's monks stood guard outside, arranging the Western Sky Extreme Happiness Chan array. These women truly are stupid, unexpectedly coming voluntarily to the Honey Ripple Temple, a lamb entering the tiger's den. This actually saved us a lot of trouble. Joyous Jia sensed the scene inside the room, showing a sneer. Those women are somewhat strange. They seem to have deliberately done so. Joyous Qing said in concern. What is there to be afraid of? We observed them for so long. In my eyes, that long-haired white-clothed woman among them was the greatest threat. The others were threats and still went to listen to the Dharma. Truly, Buddha is helping us. We have already set down the Western Sky Extreme Happiness Great Array, and due to Great Elders' Western Sky Extreme Happiness Chan Dharma record, these women will obediently become cauldrons for our Happiness Together courtyard. Ha, ha. Joyous Jia was very pleased with himself. Joyous Jia nodded. On second thought, he was right. Great Elder was of supercluster middle stage cultivation at any rate, his magic energy boundless. This place also was the Happiness Together courtyard's domain. It seemed these women could not fly, even with wings. Thinking of this, Joyous Qing also showed an evil grin. In the future, I truly hope Senior Monk can share these cauldrons with us, even if they are ruined cauldrons, they would be worth it. Joyous Jia sinisterly smiled. The Buddhist light circulated, and countless extreme happiness fairies flocked about. Each word Elder Wonderful Place spoke seemingly carried a magnetic force. After Elder Wonderful Place finished a round of the prayer beads, he slowly stopped chanting. He saw that the 4 girls in front of him each were unconscious. He showed a satisfied smile. My Buddha of compassion, since these lady benefactors came to our gate of their own accord, then they have fate with Senior Monk, Sadhu, Sadhu. Elder Wonderful Place stood up, Joyous Jia, Joyous Qing, have people quickly bring these women to Senior Monk to act as cauldrons. Remember, do not allow other people to find out. The main gate opened, and several dozen monks stepped out. Just as they were about to grab some people. Suddenly, an intense chill spread everywhere, jolting these monks back. Elder Wonderful Place was greatly surprised. Great Master, is this how you treat guests? Cauldrons? No wonder the Happiness Together courtyard is so cold and cheerless. Wu Xinjie clicked her tongue. Everyone was shocked. Lin Yingmei, Wu Xinjie, and Suwen, and Tang Lianxin each opened their eyes one after another, their eyes glittering with an apathetic light. They were not bewitched in the slightest. How is this possible? Elder Wonderful Place was overwhelmed with surprise. Using this sort of despicable method, Buddha would cry tears for you. And Suwen coldly said, "Do not think you women can leave today. Leave." Wu Xinjie had an expression that asked if they were joking. Buddha has a saying, if you do not enter hell, then who will enter hell? Elder Wonderful Place disdainfully laughed, "It is up to you. Let us see whether or not you can pass through old monk's channel attracting extreme happiness, then be arrogant." He clapped his hands together. Suddenly, chanting manifested, and several rays of blinding Buddhist light wound around Lin Yingmei and the others, a brainwashing Buddhist chanting simultaneously ringing like a bell. Elder Wonderful Place's full power extreme happiness wonderful Chan record Dharma combined with the array was very hard to resist even for a cultivator of profound practice. Elder Wonderful Place did not believe the weak girls in front of him could break out of this. How could he have anticipated that the four girls were seemingly watching a clown's clumsy act? Their eyes were full of indifference, mockery. Those beauties did not rock in the slightest. This, impossible. Elder Wonderful Place was incapable of believing his own powers unexpectedly were not the least bit useful. Wu Xinjie smiled. At this time, light rays suddenly glinted, and the pure white foreheads of the four flashed with glaring, gorgeous star crests. A layer of clear water-like starlight flowed around their bodies, carrying an air of mystery. In the eyes of all the monks, in that moment, the four girls too weak to stand against the wind seemed to suddenly transform into things taller than even Mount Tai, something they could only look up at. Star Generals. Joyous Jia spat out these two words in dread. The several dozen monks showed expressions of shock. Star Generals descended from Maiden Mountain, how could bewitching soul techniques have any effect? It was just that Elder Wonderful Place did not think that the four girls in front of him unexpectedly would all be Star Generals. This honestly was unfathomable. Did the Azure Dragon territory not say seeing one was most common, that two was already the limit? Just what was going on? The frightening fact made Elder Wonderful Place stupefied. Since you have come to our doorstep, then it is only natural for us to act. Wu Xinjie smiled harmlessly. White light flashed, and a beautiful white fox appeared on her shoulder, spreading apart 9 tails, glowing with a completely white light. Retreat. Retreat further. For 4 fiend stars of legend to simultaneously appear, this honestly made the happiness together courtyard's monks grief-stricken. Do not retreat. Elder Wonderful Place was worthy of being a supercluster middle-stage senior monk who had achieved the Tao. How could his frame of mind be compared to the others? Confronted with 4 fiend stars, Elder Wonderful Place very quickly recovered his cool. His voice was like a bell, and immediately, he stopped the several dozen monks. In this temple, could it be you still fear them? Since the Star Generals have come to provoke us, old monk shall keep them company. All disciples listen to old monk's orders. Those that can take on a Star General shall be conferred a first-rate cauldron. Each word that Elder Wonderful Place said carried thick magic. Those monks very quickly were aroused with completely red eyes. In the case a person has a greedy heart, being exploited is very easily done. Wu Xinjie cheerfully asserted. Western Paradise Eternal Happiness Record. 2. Great Sorrow Extreme Happiness Palm. 3. Evil Smiting Staff. Vajra's Curse. 5. How could these monks dare be careless? One after another, they used their special abilities. Buddhist cultivators were not like those in the Azure Dragon territory. Due to cultivating Buddhism and Saraira, it was because they carried on Buddha natures that they renounced nurturing flying swords in their dantian. They were without the most powerful sword chant, but there was counterpart, which was that in artifacts, the Buddhist cultivators had even greater achievement. Furthermore, Buddhism also developed a system of martial arts not inferior to sword chants. Relying on their strong corporeal bodies and excellent dharma, they completely were not inferior to flying swords. A dozen monks using artifacts, boxing techniques, or grasping staffs pounced at the four. Elder Wonderful Place did not hold back at all. In his hand appeared a Vajra-chan staff, and he slashed the air. A Buddhist chanting stirred in the surroundings, and every sort of solemn expression appeared. If one's mental fortitude was any weaker, it was possible they could be easily trapped. But to a star general, these attacks could only be described using two words. Utterly laughable. Lin Yingmei's hands sunk, and an invisible spear wrapped in wind appeared in her hand. The panther head swept her spear, and her spear shot a biting cold wind, sweeping back all of the monks. The seemingly fierce pounce was unable to bear Lin Yingmei's attack. Elder Wonderful Place's face changed. He immediately raised the prayer beads, dispersing hundreds of golden light to hit Wu Xinjie and the rest. Each bead carried Elder Wonderful Place's pure magic energy. The Buddhist light was blinding. Lin Yingmei coldly shouted. With a bang, the prayer beads were immediately all scattered. Elder Wonderful Place shot a glance at the other monks already showing fear. He promptly activated a Buddhist magic, shouting, "All disciples, hear old monk's orders." Since the 4-star generals are gathered together simultaneously, they are definitely trash star generals. The Happiness Together Courtyard's disciples are not to be fooled by their bluff. Immediately use full power to dispose of them. Hua Shui, it is time for you to act. Wu Xinjie faintly said. The 9-tailed spirit fox unfurled its 9 enchanting tails, the watching Elder Wonderful Place staring with hate. Dazzling light mind image was released, and all of the monks promptly felt a white light shoot towards their craniums. They wanted to defend without the slightest hesitation, but it was a pity that they could do so if only they were a true Buddhist sect. This Happiness Together Courtyard's Happiness Chan specially cultivated the extreme happiness realms of yin-yang exchange, which just happened to respond to Hua Shui's dazzling light mind image. Divine light flashed, and countless yin illusions overcame those monks. The joyous Jia and joyous Qing of slightly higher magic energy wanted to flee, but Tang Lianxin's and Ensuan's destined star weapons emerged. One was the Great Void Golden Lotus, the other Child Mother Linked Heart's Needles, which changed rapidly. Both of them successively released alms bowls, prayer beads, and artifacts that all were incapable of stopping the destined weapons. There was a scream, and then it immediately ended. Elder Wonderful Place at this moment opened his mouth, spitting out a sarira the size of a chicken egg. The sarira was completely golden red, a Buddhist light gushing out from within it, as if it was enveloped in mist. This golden red light happened to be the Happiness Chan's Orthodox Happiness Nirvana Chan light. In the case it was released, it would immediately suck away a woman's true yin, leaving nothing left. Elder Wonderful Place did not dare continue fighting. He wanted to borrow the Orthodox Happiness Nirvana Chan light to cover his escape. Wu Xinjie and the others did not dare directly touch this Happiness Chan light. They immediately released starlight to protect themselves, watching as the Elder Wonderful Place's escape light fled. Yingmei, Wu Xinjie called. Lin Yingmei nodded. She sat on the snow-walking frost-eye beast, her Arctic star serpent spear revealed. The snow-walking frost-eye beast roared, flapped its translucent wings and leisurely moved. Immediately, it chased after that 100 li away escape light in the blink of an eye. Elder Wonderful Place was startled. He hastily raised his life-cast magic weapon, 9 Wonderful Chan staff, 6, to defend, thinking of blocking Lin Yingmei. There was a sneer. The snow-walking frost-eye beast opened its mouth, its cold frost void spattering, freezing the 9 Wonderful Chan staff in layers. Elder Wonderful Place once again released the Happiness Nirvana Chan light. Just at this moment, that Chan light was like ice splitting open. A cold murderous aura directly eliminated the Happiness Chan light as Lin Yingmei emerged. Her panther-like fearless eyes were lethal. Lin Yingmei shook the spear, and Elder Wonderful Place screamed as he was run through by the spear. At this moment, Wonderful Place finally saw clearly the appearance of this divine spear, however, he rathered that he had not. Majestic star Lin Chong. Returning from the Shala treasure hall, Su Xing managed to squirm free of Chan Master Withered Leaf's invitations to speak about Chan. Who was he kidding, to have him go discuss some Dharma or some Buddha nature with Chan Masters? His own meditative mind lotus flower had not opened. It seemed this Chan Master Withered Leaf was slightly angling for fame. Su Xing sensed that the meditative mind lotus seed had already ceased its withering, but it did not have traces of blooming. On the road, Wu Xiao and Gong Sun Huang actually shot Su Xing increasingly adoring expressions. Although Yan Yizhen was still expressionless, her gaze also more or less showed something different. Master convinced those monks so quickly. Little Yi truly feels inferior. Yan Yizhen praised. It was very rare to see someone who could make the skillful star unparalleled in civility and martial arts. Even when she originally signed a contract with Su Xing, what truly made Yan Yizhen moved really was not his literary talent. Little Yi, you are also my wife. Don't say something about inferiority, that just now was only luck. Su Xing pulled on Yan Yizhen's bare snow-white shoulder, intimately drawing her close. Yan Yizhen's face was slightly hot, and she grunted. Since your highness is more formidable than that Chan master, why did that lotus flower not bloom? Gong Sun Huang already treated Su Xing's shoulder as a chair. The little lowly was very confused about the reasons. That is not necessarily true meditative mind. Wu Xiao glanced at Su Xing. She was also unable to understand how this man could speak that general truth, to spit on a statue of Buddha in front of millions of Buddhists. Now when Wu Xiao recalled it, she still felt things were somewhat outrageous. Gong Sun Huang cocked her head, wrinkled her brow, as if she was saying, is that not very terrible? Will you still listen to Dharma? Yan Yizhen felt this way was already a dead end. They already listened for 5 days, and after 5 days, Su Xing had instead become Shala Tree World's Chan Master. No need, Xinjie should have finished things. Su Xing smiled. Returning to the guest house, what welcomed him was Wu Xinjie's passionate hug. What about Yuan? Su Xing did not see Shi Yuan. Yuan has some matters to attend to. She will return in several days. Su Xing nodded, and neither did Su Xing ask what Shi Yuan went to do. How was Big Brother's Dharma? And Suwen curiously asked. When we came back, we heard someone seemed to have spat at a statue of Buddha. Who could be so bold? Who else could it be? Wu Xiao shrugged her shoulders, indifferently sat in a chair and poured a cup of tea. Gong Sun Huang used her small finger to point at Su Xing, and Suwen and Tang Lianxin were greatly shocked. Elder brother is that man that dared to spit at an image of Buddha? Tang Lianxin was powerless. Young lord, just what happened? Wu Xinjie was curious. Su Xing summarized what had happened. When he spoke about confronting millions of disciples, and Suwen and the rest somewhat regretted not going to hear Dharma. Young lord, you are so powerful, worthy of being the man Xinjie has looked upon. He, too awesome. A pity Xinjie did not personally see it. Wu Xinjie kissed Su Xing's cheek. If this is so, young master listening to Dharma is already a dead end. Lin Yingmei said. Knowledge star, young master said to slave servant on the road that you finished things? Yan Yizhen asked. Young lord knew. Wu Xinjie cutely laughed. With Xinjie's temperament, she wouldn't sit and do nothing. Didn't you plan to go gather the 3 existence marks? Furthermore, you had Yuan go seek information on heavenly solitary star Lu Jishan? Su Xing guessed. Xinjie cannot hide anything from young lord. Wu Xinjie proudly said. Then, Wu Xinjie, you must plan clearly. Gathering the 3 existence marks undoubtedly will offend the entire Buddha kingdom. Wu Xiao warned. In actuality, the first existence mark is about to be personally delivered to our door. Wu Xinjie self-confidently replied. She spun to ask Su Xing, can young lord guess how Xinjie accomplished this? Su Xing also sat on a chair and drank the tea Wu Xiao poured. Gong Sun Huang also jumped down from his shoulder, her gaze nevertheless did not leave His Highness, like a magnet. No need to guess. First of all, you definitely sought out the Happiness Together courtyard of Happiness Chan and acted. Su Xing indifferently took a sip. The Happiness Chan's desire is too vigorous, very easy to exploit. Furthermore, their position in the Buddha kingdom is not very popular. Taking action against them, so long as it was a righteous person, the other sects will stay uninvolved. Big brother and sister Xinjie think alike. And Suan smiled. Is it because of dual cultivation? Gong Sun Huang blurted, "You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."